and educate. If you're being educated by me, that's a problem. But what we want to do is make you aware of stories, and then you should probably make up your own mind and not just take my opinion, which I doubt any of you take my opinion that seriously, so that's good. I view what I do as essentially a talking Twitter feed. Good morning, everybody. So, anyways, we'd like to mix it up a little bit, get a little more opposition. My ass is tired of sitting in this seat day after day. Goat Dope, I see you. Let me know if you're opposition there. We can bring you up. And then I'm waiting for Felice. Good morning. Look at that. I'm looking at AZ Central's website. I haven't looked at AZ Central, I don't think ever. I'm pretty sure not ever. One of my favorite things to do, though, is to go on to like local newspapers. Like I go back. Good morning. I go back. Oh, yeah, Super Tuesday. Many of you are voting today. Great. Facebook and Instagram are down. I'm not going to say I did it, but maybe I did it. Maybe it was me. Maybe we're just trying to drive this traffic over here. But I love local newspapers. I've forgotten how much I love what gets covered. Good morning, Derek. Hey, what's up? We talked about you the other day. I don't know if maybe that's why you're here. Maybe you heard your name and came running. Tiger Lady, good morning. I don't even know it. I don't even know necessarily how to get on Facebook. It's somehow linked to my Instagram. But like if I had to log into Facebook, I wouldn't be able to do that. I have no idea. Facebook is not a good social media platform. It is so bad. I don't think I have any I don't know if any of you are my friend on Facebook. You may be. I have no idea. Spit that out. Sorry, I had to spit. I was zenning this morning. I decided to be a conservative. It's up again. Yeah, I actually had a problem with my Discord crashed this morning. Just my app. I don't think the server crashed. And then, Felice, I probably can't hear you. Let me do the reset thing.
Hi.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
There it is. You got me?
Mm-hmm.
That silence at the end confused. Whoa! I like yellow.
Cool. Yay, it's Super Tuesday. Today's a great day. You know why?
Because it starts with super?
Because somebody has an amazing opportunity, right? Well, we do, but some Republican out there. Today, Jay and I have something to prove. We would like to prove to some Republican that we can have a conversation and listen and be kind. Who would like to be that person?
I wish people could have seen. I mean, they can see, but I'm not going to show them, so fuck you. But yesterday, when we were talking to Gorilla, just these every once in a while message from Felice, like, let him talk. You can do it. I know you want to rip his head off, but let him talk. Felice has to
it's like
bring
an
me back
angry
down.
Animal.
Gorilla does it. He triggers me. He's good at it. Him and David, because it's like, look, I'm terrified actually of this idea of getting to an age where I'm just like, these are my beliefs. This is no new information is okay. And if I'm proven wrong, I'm just going to double down.
We never have to get to no, you don't. That's my thing. That is my worst fear. I call it the true death. Like the true death is when you stop learning and changing and growing. And I don't think we actually have to reach that point, but we just have to have people that hold us accountable. And when we do, if we become closed off, bitter people who don't want to learn, that, we need accountability partners to point it out.
Yeah, I don't, and I think that's the thing in myself that I most fear, right? Honest to God, that's the inside of me. That's the thing I fear is that I'll stop. And so like when somebody else is proven wrong repeatedly over and over, and then they come back with the same thing, it like infuriates me because like internally that's my biggest fear. So when I see it in others,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Anytime I lash out at someone, it's because I'm recognizing something in myself that I like in them, like that makes me insecure. That's literally what it is. It's my own insecurity.
Yeah. Speaking of security and insecurity, I feel in Arizona, I feel secure with Katie Hobbs as our governor, but I would feel very insecure had our governor been Kari Lake. Just a reminder, that was decided by 20,000 votes. But I wanted to bring up a story that Kyle sent me this morning. Kyle, if you're here, thank you. I was moving slow this morning, so
guys, tap the screen.
So
Let's
I wasn't
get to 10K.
Sorry. No, my bad. And so I wasn't up to date, and this is how I got on AZ Central. Did you know yesterday what Katie Hobbs did? Do you know about this?
What did she do yesterday?
Well, she did a wonderful thing. Katie Hobbs says Arizona will use up to $30 million in coronavirus relief funds, which haven't been used yet, to erase the medical debts of up to 1 million residents. And this is really cool. I actually thought about this not that long ago, and I'm like, I can't believe this isn't real. Or like that nobody's done this. Then I Googled it, and like lots of people had done it. But there is a nonprofit called RIP Medical Debt, and Arizona's contracting with them. What they do is they go out and they buy medical debt from the the collection agencies, and then they pay off that medical debt as a nonprofit. So it's a way for them to go out and pay for medical debt. But Arizona's going to give them $30 million. This could erase medical debts for up to 1 million residents in Arizona.
Are they doing it randomly, or how are they deciding who to do it for? Or, like,
so people that are eligible for the debt relief include those with an income of up to 400% of the federal poverty level, or who owe medical bills equal to 5% or more of their annual income. So families, the example is families of four with an income up to 124,000 would qualify. So literally, like the way they've done this, they've structured it to only benefit the people that really need it. That can actually, that it's going to make a significant difference. This isn't something where you're going to see like the 1% go wipe out their medical debt. But just a really cool thing that Arizona's doing. It's a fiscally responsible thing to do. It will immediately, or potentially and immediately, inject money into the marketplace. It will free up cash for people to pay bills or to invest. Incredible decision here by Katie Hobbs on Super Tuesday in a year where like the Arizona election is going to be really close, and this is massive. This will be will help people across the political aisle. This is a great move by Katie Hobbs. So well done, Katie Hobbs, this morning.
I think there's a lot of cool things being done with leftover COVID funds, like whether it's stuff with student debt or like is it in Massachusetts, it's like talking about reparations. Like there's a ton of like interesting things being done. And
maybe to pay for RTP's Rogaine. There are a lot of cool things done with COVID relief bills. Alabama is trying to buy all the rights of women, which I think is what they're doing with their COVID relief money. They're trying to.
Am I not surprised?
I think that's what they're doing. Also, fuck you, Rasta Ranch. It hurt my feelings.
It's Super Tuesday. I just want to go over just so I can say I did it. So Texas. Like, I'm just going to read off the states that are having their primary. So Texas, North Carolina, Massachusetts, Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Maine, Minnesota, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Utah, Vermont, and Virginia. And then there's like interesting races. I was reading like the California Senate primary is super interesting because it's an open race, you know? So it's like just whoever the top two which really should probably be how it is. Just the top two candidates win. So I was reading about how like Adam Schiff is backing whoever that guy is, the ex-baseball player that's running, the Republican candidate. He's given that candidate like $9 million. His name's like Steve Garvey, or Am I making that name up? I'm not. I'm not trying
No,
to sound like
you
Steve.
actually got that.
Did I get it?
Is it the old Dodgers player? I didn't know he was.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think he's. And so I was reading. Adam Schiff has given his campaign like millions of dollars to try to push Katie Porter out, because obviously he doesn't want to go against Katie Porter, and Katie Porter's doing the same thing with another candidate. Like they're both trying, because they're obviously the top two. I guess they're the top two candidates for the seat, and and obviously don't want to face each other in the end. So that will be a super interesting one to watch.
This is one for, I think, for Democrats. Like, as much I like Adam Schiff, I love Katie Porter, but I feel like this is one where Democrats need Katie Porter. Like it or not, Adam Schiff he is despised by a lot of people, and he's a controversial person now because of the January 6th.
I just want to say though, like, we can't say, like, that's like saying, I mean, because I understand what you're saying, but like, it's not Adam Schiff's fault that he did the right thing. Like, Adam Schiff did nothing wrong. You know what I mean? So yeah. I'm just saying, it's just, I know what you mean, but it's like, Adam Schiff has done the right thing in every situation. So it's hard for me to just be like, because, it's like how Liz Cheney and what's the guy, Adam Kinzinger, like, have been demonized, like, just for doing the right thing. But the thing is,
Adam Schiff can stay in Congress, right? Like, it doesn't hurt at all for him to stay in Congress. He's very effective there. But I just think
you
as
mean
like
the House?
Yeah, sorry, the House. I always say Congress, sorry. But I think that Katie Porter as a senator is going to be far more effective than Adam Schiff. That's the only reason. Like, I think potentially it's a win-win here, right? Whichever one of them loses is going to remain in the House.
What makes Katie Porter more effective, if you don't mind my asking?
I think she's
just mean because you're saying because Adam Schiff stood up and got demonized that...
No, I think
he just has a perception issue.
No, I think she's a more effective communicator. I think she's able to lay things out simply. I think that she will be well liked and well respected. Like, in the Senate, if you're a smart, articulate person, like, you do rise to the top. The Senate's different than the House. Like, the smart people generally rise to the top. And I think that she is somebody that will go in there. I don't think that she's going to be somebody that's disliked by Republicans. She's a very down-to-earth person. She talks a lot about education. She talks a lot about corruption, like unifying things potentially with Republicans, stuff they care about. And she's able to lay out her plans so succinctly and to lay out the facts like so clearly that I just think she'll be a very, very effective person to legislate in the Senate. It's almost like in the House, she's just one of a trillion, and she gets left behind too much. But in the Senate, I think we'd see a lot more of Katie Porter. I think she's the most effective communicator by either party. I think she would be awesome in the Senate.
Yeah, I think my opinion on Adam Schiff, aren't they both? I mean, isn't Katie Porter a legal professor? Like, aren't they both pretty similar trajectories? And they're both lawyers. They're both. But
well, she was a school teacher.
She's a professor.
But she was like I thought she taught like elementary school or junior high or something too, right? Am I wrong about that?
I don't know about Katie being a junior high teacher. I've never heard that.
I thought that she had done that. Law clerk, associate professor at law.
Yeah,
no, you're right. She's
a law professor.
I thought
she's not a junior high teacher.
No, I thought she had done both. I thought she had done both.
Thank you for the hat.
I knew she was a law professor, but I thought she had done both. I don't know where I came up with that.
Well, let's see. Yeah, I just know she's a law professor. Yeah, I've never, but that would probably make me like her more. But yeah, no, I just know she's a law professor. So I'm just like, I do think both are. It's hard for me when I realized they were really going to be duking it out. Like, they're both such amazing people. Like, we haven't heard a lot from Adam Schiff in a while because and Katie Porter, because they've both been so focused on this race. We haven't seen them as much as we used to in oversight hearings and things like that. It's sad they have to go against each other because they both deserve to probably be in the Senate, quite honestly. But yeah, it's just. I hate that Adam Schiff was demonized for doing absolutely nothing wrong, just for saying the truth. Like, that's it.
I thought he was great. I thought leading the impeachment inquiry, he was really, really good. Like, he did a good job of actually taking his emotion out of it when he laid things out. I thought he's an effective communicator too. They both are. I just think Katie Porter is in the house has been the most effective communicator. It's hard to watch a Katie Porter clip and even find somebody like nobody ever does like a Katie Porter response video. There's no like, look what Katie Porter said, but Katie Porter was wrong about this. You don't find.
No, I love him. I love Katie Porter. I do agree.
Careful.
Like she's palatable to the masses, where Adam Schiff can kind of, the age of like the. Yeah, it's time. It's probably women's time in general.
Yeah,
so I'm not saying that I do not support Katie Porter, but like I just will loudly speak out against like the demonization of Adam Schiff. Like, show me a time Adam Schiff has lied. He has not. Show me a time. Like, you know what I mean? That's the only thing I can't stand is like. Or, like the same thing with when they were saying Eric Swalwell was like a spy. Like, that's the most ridiculous. We're talking about the Republicans who are using literal Russian spies to try to impeach the president, trying to say someone else is a spy. Like, it's hilarious.
The Russians have really done a great job of getting into the discussion with Republicans and being able to set narratives and talk yesterday was one of the first times in a while that I actually like went through TikTok debates and watched some. Like, Russian propaganda maybe they should win an award for best propaganda this year. They've done a great job infiltrating the GOP to the point where it almost feels like Russia's just like dictating what they say. It almost feels like that. I know certainly
almost, it absolutely is that.
It's just a coincidence, though. It's not that Russia actually infiltrated them, Felice. It's just a coincidence.
Yeah,
Russia just happens to be right. They know what they're doing. Very proud of old Vlad.
Let's let Chelsea up first. Hey, girl. Hey.
What's up?
Hey.
What's up?
You watched my live with Jeff last night, RTP? I saw you come up in there.
I did for a minute.
I invited him.
I was gonna go up there. It was when that crazy guy was there. I had an epiphany.
What's his name? The one I was saying was.
You mean Nathan?
Yes. What the is that?
Nathan,
if anyone's HVAC's hosting lives again, he was hosting it live.
Might have a gift.
Text me is like, I'm going live. And I was like, are you like going into someone's live? And then I saw him live and I was like, oh, I have to. Like, I have to go up there.
I think that he actually should do like an AV show type thing. Like, he's a great Jerry Springer.
An audio-visual show?
No.
Like, what do you mean by an AV show? Like a light show?
No, the person AV. AV used to do his AV show. But Jeff is like at his best when people on the panel are bickering. That's when that's Jeff A game. When he's not involved in the discussion, he just is like, because he will let that shit go on and on. He'll cut off everybody else. He'll literally silence everybody that's not bringing the drama, and then he'll let the two people bringing the drama just go head to head. It was kind of entertaining. I was going to message him and be like,
Nathan was the most emotional person. I've never seen him debate. Like I thought he was going to burst into tears, like screaming at you.
No, I've never met him, but he sure seemed to think he knew a lot about me. Like,
he did. I thought you guys had like an ongoing feud the way he was acting.
It was like, I know exactly how you feel about religion, vaccines, and all this. I was like, I have never once talked about it. I don't know where you got all that from, Nathan.
Who are you?
Sure.
He was like a bootleg Charlie Kirk, where what he does is he listens no matter what
Charlie
you say,
Kirk for sure.
Yeah, he comes up with something that he's heard somebody on the right, or like this position that he believes somebody on the left has, and then he just tries to compare that, and then he always goes, and that's the problem with you lefties and liberals, and every fucking time it was like on repeat. He would just he'd find a scenario. He would explain how you care about this, but not about this. And then he would go, and that's the problem with you lefties and liberals. I
missed what happened before he even came in. Apparently there was like a lady named Kay, and she just was screaming at the top of her lungs about the disservice of whatever was happening.
Wait, you're talking about the lady from Texas?
No, before that there was another.
Oh, okay.
I think Ange posted a clip of it. I'll send it to you because it's something. I missed it. I wish I was there for that.
I didn't see that.
No, the lady from Texas was very
HVAC should definitely debate.
I don't know. What are you saying? What is? I don't know. I missed it. It looked like you grabbed the boobs. That's what it looked like.
She went through this whole thing where she told me, what? You're being mean to Jeff. You're being mean to Jeff. She kept.
Was it Kay conservative?
Oh no, Kay's a conservative.
Was that the name? K
Yeah,
conservative?
it was CAY.
Oh no, different
yeah,
person.
no.
Okay.
But the Texas lady kept telling me I was being.
Jeff has loyal followers. Like, that's how I met Gorilla, is he came and found me the first time and screamed at me for mistreating Jeff.
I haven't seen Gorilla. He stays away from me.
That's what it feels like when I go into debates in mod space, which, by the way,
I'm
can go ahead and we can promote that. I did finally, it was not a good communication day yesterday, but we're at least now on a group text. So that's as far as we've gotten as far as the format goes, that now a group text exists.
That's true. Guys, and just to remind you, if you don't know what we're talking about, Jay is having a debate tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time against Mother of Dragons here on TikTok. So that's what we're discussing.
Well, who's hosting that?
It's going to be on our channel. We're going to host it here, and then Jesse is going to moderate.
Oh, I love Jesse.
So it'll be here. We have a good mod structure, and I think we get pushed in the For You page a little more, so we decided to do it here.
That sounds good. This is going to be fun. I was going to ask about the Katie Porter thing. So if she loses the Senate race, she can go back to the House.
Yeah.
Clear about that.
I don't think she. I don't think anybody has filled her seat. They would if there would be a special election if she wins in the Senate. I'm trying to see. I don't remember when her seat is up. But that happens all the time. When is her seat?
Yeah, they can stay.
I thought they forfeit their seat, and I was like, "Wow, 3 of you guys."
Oh wait, her seat might be up in 2024. Maybe she
that's
did.
what I thought. I thought everybody in the House was up.
Every 2 years. I mean, right? Katie.
I don't know what her plan is. Maybe somebody else knows. I have no idea. It looks like maybe somebody else is running for that.
Barbara Lee are all up for re-election in the House.
Oh yeah, Barbara Lee's running.
Mm-hmm.
Now we really need Katie Porter.
And Garvey. The thought.
California Senate seats come up so rarely. You know, they all just are.
Why do washed up football players and baseball players all of a sudden feel like they need to run for a Senate?
Well, if it helps, don't speak that way of Colin Allred, who's going to unseat Ted Cruz.
Wasn't he at least washed up? He retired.
Oh, you're here and from Texas. I have something to say about Texas. What the. I didn't have time to make a TikTok about this, but Ted Cruz, when he's not filming, his podcast full time, his other thing is he's a disaster hunter. He waits for there to be a disaster in Texas and go find it and stand in front of it for 20 seconds and be like, see everyone, I'm a senator. I'm doing my job. I'm standing in front of this disaster.
That's what he did the last tornado. He stood there with the whitest gloves and was like, I am here at the disaster. And I was like, you didn't touch dirt at all. There's nothing you've done so far.
Listen, he's standing in front of a house that's knocked down or burned down.
Wildfires continue to rage.
He's like, wildfires continue to rage.
Here in the Texas Panhandle, wildfires continue to rage. The devastation is enormous. I'm right now in French, Texas, a small town, about 1,800 residents.
Pray for us. Yeah, Ted, no one's praying for you.
He wrote that down on a card. He doesn't even know where that is in Texas. He was like, I need to write down where in location I am right now and how many.
Yeah, he's never been to the Panhandle in his life. He's like, wildfires continue to rage in the Panhandle.
I heard conspiracies about this fire today. I did.
What were the conspiracies?
The conspiracies are that Chinese lasers knock down the buildings because there's no way that a building would burn in a fire like a fire pit doesn't burn. That's where.
How could it not be? What, are you just on a text thread with Marge or what? Who's sending you these rumors?
One of the Republicans that I go into their live often is an Alex Jones supporter, and this is the conspiracy of this fire.
that it's the space lasers again?
Yeah, no, we're at the Chinese lasers. I mean, I got videos.
Oh, these are Chinese lasers.
Yeah, no,
these
Chinese lasers specifically.
Not Jewish. Okay.
Chinese. Okay. They zapped those buildings in Texas, in rural Panhandle, Texas. That's why on one side it was snowing, and on the other side it was burning lines. Just
all right. Okay. Republicans. That's what we want to talk to Republicans about today. When you convince us to vote for Trump, like, can you just explain to us why every time information comes out, you're like, what is the least likely scenario, and then just believe that? Why do you always go with like the theory that is least supported by evidence? Why is that always the choice?
I decided that they must have extreme anxiety to think that everything is a conspiracy. Like, imagine like falling in your house and then you're like, that's a conspiracy. Like, the world was definitely tilted a certain direction to make me fall today. Like, I was like, that would give me unreal amounts of anxiety to think about every day.
These poor Texans.
In reality, a little bit.
It's tough. It's tough to live up to. Everything's bigger in Texas, and then you got to live up to that. I guess that breeds conspiracy theories. But it's good to see Ted Cruz on his, let's call it his dying breaths for the Senate.
Well, you know, we pay him to do something. He might as well just stand out there in a field of fire.
Well, look, I only pay him to podcast. I support the Ted Cruz podcast. I'm a paying member. I bet. Does he have a paying membership club? Does he have a membership club? Maybe we should get in the Ted Cruz membership
I'm sure
club.
On his subscribe. Oh my God.
There's a fan club.
I'm already paying for Don Jr. I can only pay one of these people at once. Like, it's absolutely the best is the thing that came out about Ronnie Jackson. Speaking of ridiculous people from Texas, Ronnie Jackson, did you see the Rolling Stone article? You know, first the Rolling Stone came out with the report about the pill mill being run out of the White House. And now they came out with a follow-up report about Ronnie Jackson, like handing out unprescribed packets of medication to people on planes and stuff.
He's just like a walking sample pack. Just try them all. Let me know what you like, what you didn't like.
Yeah,
your next grab bag, we'll load it with what you like.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Jen had something about the California election.
This new update is so weird it doesn't alert me who's in the box, and the muting thing is weird. I'm not liking it.
It's devastating.
So there's two the Senate races in California, because since Feinstein passed away, there's two spots where in California you have to vote for because of her passing. Newsom appointed I can't say her first name, Butler is her last name, to fill the seat until the special election could be held. And then, so there's two spots for Senate that they're voting for today. We're voting for. I'm in California. So there's two spots because of Feinstein passing away. So there is a special election and then the regular primary too.
So if they don't win the special election, can they go back to the House? And just
I'm not 100% sure. I'm still looking it up, but I do remember reading about it. It's there's something different about it it's a one-off.
I'm very confused that I didn't know this. Why is this not a big story, or just not a big story with where I get my news? I don't know why. Do you know anything about this, Felice? Is this new to you as well?
So what I'm reading.
Sorry, I'm still messed up about the mute thing too.
Will determine who will serve the. Sorry. The remainder of Feinstein's term, which ends in January. The regularly scheduled primary is for 6 full year term, and then they'll have another one. So yeah, it's special.
So they're categorizing as a special election. So I wonder if the rules change that they can just go back to their seats, or they can still run in that election if that's even possible. I just didn't know if you could run at the same time.
You can go back to your seat anytime you decide to run for another position. Like, it's like Ron DeSantis is still the governor, even though he was thinking about, running for president. Like, they can go back to their seats. They don't lose them for running for something else.
You're voting in a primary today, right? Would they be on the ballot for both?
So I had something in my throat. I don't know if you can read this, but so it's chairman who will serve the remainder of the term, which ends in January. Then they'll, I don't know if you guys can read that.
No, I can't read it.
All right. I'll send it over to you, but yeah, it's different.
Okay, so one person, so let me make sure we're getting this right. One person will serve the remainder of the term and the other person will be a new senator? Or the person that wins will fill the remainder of the term and be the new senator?
That's my understanding, because they have to replace Feinstein since she passed away. And then and then they'll have another. So one person's going to do the remainder, and that's partially why Newsom didn't appoint someone specifically, because Butler, she didn't want to continue, so she was just a placeholder until the special election.
When is Feinstein's actual term ended?
It says January.
So January.
January next year.
I'm still confused.
She would have. I am too. If anybody can, I don't
This
get
is
it.
not
So are
making
we
sense,
filling
yeah.
2 seats?
So
Is that what you're saying?
she's saying that there's a special election and not just a regular election for the Senate seat. That's what I'm understanding. So there is
Okay, so
no
this would be a
actual-
special election. So they would start serving as senator now, but then
Yeah.
they would also be on the ballot in November. Is that what I think?
Yeah.
That's what we're
Yeah.
saying. Okay,
Yep.
it's not 2 seats. Okay, I'm like, how the fuck is there 2
it's
seats? I
not
didn't know
2
this.
seats.
Okay,
That's exactly right.
Now
You're
we're
filling
good.
a seat,
All right.
and then they're on the ballot. Yeah,
That's why I was so
Because I was like,
confused.
there's because what's his name? Alex Padilla, right?
Yeah.
That's the other Democratic senator, correct?
Is it? I think it's Ami Bera.
Who?
No, I thought the one that took over.
Alex Padilla is a senator from California, right?
yeah, it's Padilla and Butler right now.
Yeah. Okay.
I think.
Bera,
Okay,
Bera,
perfect. So
anyways,
one seat,
Bera was
one
Attorney
seat,
General.
but they'll finish this term because it's a special election and it would be weird because it's a special election and a general. Are there 2 separate ballots? So hypothetically, you could have somebody serve the rest of this term and then not take office in January. I mean, probably won't happen, but that'd be interesting. That would just be a cool story. We'd live through history. Okay, so we got it down. It's 1 seat, but the person who wins the special election is going to take over as senator until January. And then they will start a new term after that. Got it? Because Butler is stepping down from Feinstein's seat.
Yep.
Neat. All right, we figured all that shit out, I think.
Look at us.
All right. All right. Jen, will you check in the box? You dropped Texas, Angela 5. If you're opposition, we'd love to have you come up. We'll jump in a second. Unless, Chelsea, did you have anything else that we need to be
No,
aware
I'm
of?
good. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of my day while you guys all.
We love you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Chelsea.
We got through that all together. We did it. For you.
I was not confused about that, and then I got so confused.
Yeah, I was confused the whole time until right at the end. It's weird. It's weird that hasn't been. I mean, there's just so much going on.
I think it's a big deal in California. Like, you know what I mean? Because I see the news there. Like, because I read the Los Angeles Times sometimes, and I think they know what's going on. We just don't.
Yeah. Well, that's the crazy thing about like Trump and the amount of shit that he says and does, and like the amount of crimes that he's committed or not committed, depending on if you're a Republican, you can come talk about that. But he's so overwhelming to a news cycle that this, which is like a pretty historic thing, any other year would have been a massive story. And yet you and I are like, wait a minute, hold on. We're not sure on this. This would be something that we'd be 100% sure on. We would know. It would be like we'd be talking about it.
I think for all intents and purposes, the point is this: there's 1 Senate seat up for grabs. Yeah, it's just going to take. It's going to be a little bit of a.
They just get 7 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 6.5, whatever. All right. Well, let's jump into stories for today. And again, CoinCon is over. Gifts are back on. If you would like the majority of your gifts to go to, or all the gifts to go to us rather than a majority to TikTok, our Venmo and Cash App are there. We will also read any comment that you leave within reason. And keep in mind that within reason for me, like I'll read almost anything.
Like F, Mary, banish, or a funny joke, or, you know, if we have opposition up, something funny about them, anything like that. The best part, like Jay said, 100% of these donations go to us, but yes, gifts are on, and let's tap the screen. Let's try to get to 50K. Again, if there are any Republicans in the House, Jay and I have turned over a new leaf. We would love to talk to you calmly, respectfully, listen to what you have to say. Well, that's
Listen, I've turned over a new leaf, but from time to time I flip back over. Fortunately,
just
Felice is
blowing
there.
in the wind.
Felice is there often to flip me back over. I'm a bit of a wild card, we'll call it that. But I'm gonna do my best. And it's not just because of fun. Like, we want to have actual discussions. Like, I do feel like with TikTok that the discussions have gotten stale. The rooms have gotten stale. It's the same like echo chambers, and that's not a right or left thing. Like, people get overpowered, and I've noticed that I find myself going to the platforms where there is more open and free-flowing discussion, despite the fact that I like to get mad and yell. So I recognize in myself a weakness that we're going to try and fix, because I think that we deserve to have those discussions, and I think those discussions can be meaningful and impactful.
I have a couple of things I wanted to, like, I just have a funny, I mean, it's kind of not funny because it's classic Super Tuesday behavior, but I was on Truth Social earlier. And Roger Stone he's like, Facebook and Instagram, two of the most powerful communication tools for grassroots politics in America, suddenly stopped working on Super Tuesday, while all of Haley's ads in print, radio, and television remain intact.
Oh, no,
How inconvenient. So, am I frozen?
You're good now. I picked back up at Haley. No, you're good. You just froze for a second.
Well, yeah, I
me?
was just saying, yeah, I can hear you. So
Can you
I
hear
was
me?
just saying, yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, listen to how weird this is. Facebook and Instagram, two of the most powerful communication tools for grassroots politics in America, suddenly stopped working on hashtag Super Tuesday, while all of Haley's ads in print, radio, and television remain intact. So, first of all, just point out that the internet and the servers that are powering the internet have nothing to do with television, radio, or print. So that's why
Correct.
ads running on television, radio, and print would not be affected by servers going down, because those are two separate things, guy with Richard Nixon tramp stamp. Like, Roger.
First of all, I want you to read. I now want like an AI version of you to read all of Roger Stone and what's his face's Steve Bannon's tweets, because I like the passion and the energy that you put into doing their voice. But secondly, isn't Facebook and I think there's a reasonable answer for that. Facebook and Instagram are trying not to be political.
Well, they're not promoting. They're not.
Yeah.
You can't be on whatever. I can't remember what they called their like For You page on Facebook and Instagram, but yeah, they're just not putting any and it's very subjective, right? Whatever they deem as political content, they're no longer putting it on what we call on TikTok the For You page. Like, so unless you're found naturally, you're not.
So it wouldn't be surprising then.
And Threads, yes, all meta companies.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising that their AI and their moderation, like on a day where you're going to be bombarded with political shit, like it's not that surprising that they may have been like, something's not working, right? Like this is not very surprising. This is a company
Roger
rolling
Stone
out.
doesn't understand the internet. His internet was probably down. Do you know what I mean? Like, for all we know, Roger Stone had to like turn off his internet and turn it back on, and that's what this was.
His Wi-Fi was out, but his cable was working. Couldn't
Can you
figure it
believe
out.
Nikki Haley's radio ads are still running, but my internet's down? That's
Nikki Haley's
convenient.
running ads, and I can't watch Netflix.
Haley's
God damn
billboards
it.
are up, and I can't get on Facebook. This is bullshit. Hashtag Super Tuesday is what's going on True Social. It makes perfect sense. Oh, I'm gonna check.
I
forgot
wondered
to
about
check if
people like
Trump's
Trump
updated.
and Roger Stone. Like, if they suddenly found peace where they didn't just wake up raging every morning, I think that like their bodies might just quit. I think at this point for both of them, like rage and outrage is what's keeping them alive. I think that's the only explanation for why Donald Trump is still alive, is rage. Like, rage must be a hell. It does, like, right? It gives you adrenaline. It gives you dopamine. I think that's what's keeping them alive at this point. And that's why you see Trump doubling and tripling down on it. Do you remember You guys remember in 2015 when he was running and he would say crazy shit, but then he was constantly like, hey, like, I know I'm going to tone it down. Like, don't worry, I'm going to tone it down. I'm going to be a president who gets along. I'm going to tone it down. And now he's like, you haven't seen shit. When I'm president and I have unlimited power, you're all fucked. Like, he's totally a different guy now. He's just on this revenge anger tour.
Yeah, he's
not even the
steady
same guy.
diet of hate.
It's all that's keeping him. Yeah, it's addictive. It's true. Rage is addictive. You guys, we all know. We've all been there, like, especially on just a week where, like, Donald Trump does something crazy, or like last week. Last week was draining with Alabama, with that Supreme Court ruling in Alabama, right? Like, we were all kind of glued to our phones or to the news, and piece after piece after piece, just being like, how the fuck did Alabama, like, become this? Like, how did this get through a Supreme Court? How is God in a Supreme Court decision? And we were like, that kind of rage keeps us engaged. So I get it, but I do think it's all that's keeping him alive at this point.
Yeah, I wanted to point out, which I think this article has actually been updated today. Yeah. So there is a good article, and it's not in the outline, but if anyone wants to look it up, and I think this has just been edited because I first read this, I had it in one of our outlines, I think a couple days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, like last Friday. It's called Texas Attorney General Who Survived Impeachment Targets House Republicans Who Sought His Ouster. And I don't know why I didn't talk about this while Chelsea was up here, because I'm sure she would like to yell something about Ken Paxton. But yeah, like, what's going on in Texas is huge, because it is like what we're talking about. The Republican Party is at war with itself. It's eating itself. Like, this is going to, nowhere else is this battle taking place like it is in Texas. Like, after today, we are going to know, or like, who wins. The establishment in the Texas House. So like, the establishment, like the establishment Republicans are the ones who had to impeach Paxton, who said, like, this guy's doing a bunch of illegal shit. It's the MAGA Republicans who are like, we don't care about criminals. We support you anyways, as long as you'll help us take women's rights away. So Ken Paxton vowed essentially to come after what's his name's like Phelan. I can't remember. It's his last name. I think is Phelan. Phelan. He's the House. Dade Phelan, thank you. Yeah. And that is Ken Paxton's arch rival. Like, he's promising to oust him. But these races for the Texas state legislature essentially are going to direct the direction of the Republican Party in Texas, the largest conservative state. Like, it is huge what's going on there.
I don't think it should be overlooked. And like, when we continuously say that Republicans are fascist, like, this is what we're talking about. Impeachment is a promise. If you believe that somebody did something unethical or that amounts to high crimes or misdemeanors, what you do is you bring impeachment charges, and then you try and pass that through the House and the Senate. That's actually how the process is supposed to work. But what you see from Republicans now, and there is a stark contrast between how Republicans and Democrats handle this. Republicans, when they are it's even suggested that they be investigated, they start threatening, right? All that happened is the state of Texas, the legislature in Texas, decided that Ken Paxton should not be removed. Nobody's making the argument that Ken Paxton did everything right, but there were enough people that said we want to remove him, that impeachment articles were filed. I believe it passed through the House and it was rejected in the Senate. That's democracy. That's our Constitution. That's our form of government. That's how this works. Now Ken Paxton is coming back and saying, hey, I'm going to go after every one of you. This is fascism, when you target people for using the legal and I guess, the legal processes that we've set out in our Constitution. If Ken Paxton really cared about our Constitution, what Ken Paxton would say is, look, guys, apparently the majority of the people don't think I did anything wrong to get removed. Some of you do. That's okay. We had the process. That's how this shit should work. Same with Trump. He got impeached twice. He didn't get removed. But the vindictiveness, just when people rightly point out that somebody did something that's questionable, I would ask to the Republicans, like, why are you so upset that we're investigating politicians? I thought you guys wanted to drain the swamp. Like, are you just, is that all rhetoric? You don't actually care about draining the swamp? You just I think what happened is you thought the swamp was all on the left. I think that's what happened. And when Republicans and Democrats both decided to strengthen those rules and those laws on who we investigate, turns out when we strengthened the rules, a lot of Republicans came in the crosshairs because they were the swamp.
I don't want to hear we can't sit here drain the swamp from these people anymore, because if you're fine with all Trump's crimes, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is it about the choosing, like, drain the swamp, like, and the person to drain it is the largest criminal like politics has ever seen, is the person that should drain the swamp, but we shouldn't stop his crimes? Like, it makes no sense. What was I going to say? Ken Paxton. It's not just so, and Greg Abbott are targeting over 24 Republicans in the state legislature who either supported the impeachment of Paxton or also wouldn't back, because Greg Abbott wanted to use tax dollars to back school choice, right? So to kind of defund public schools, and people and Republicans opposed him and were like, what are you doing? So now he wants all of them gone as well. Anybody who has an opinion that differs from Ken Paxton or Greg Abbott must go.
Yeah, like tell me this isn't operating. It's operating just like any cult. This is what we're doing now. The first step. The first step is a loyalty pledge to Donald Trump and a vocal outcrying of emotions saying Donald Trump is our true leader. He won the election, whatever you want to say. Like, you first declare that Donald Trump is the leader, then you run on Donald Trump, and then you spend your entire time in office trying to get retribution against anybody else who didn't believe in Donald Trump. Like, guys, this is so fucking transparent at this point. Like, the connects, or the dots are connecting. They are. It's a connect, but it's like a straight line connect the dot, and Republicans are drawn in circles. Like, they're just like, no, it couldn't be that simple. It couldn't be that simple that this is what's happening. It's got to be some conspiracy theory. It's got to be Nathan Wade. I bet Nathan Wade is why this is happening. That's the problem.
For sure, Nathan Wade. It's true. Well, and it's just the basic. It's a cult because if you truly wanted corruption, like I said, it's a fair conversation. We should drain the swamp. Like, I can't stand that term anymore, but we should endeavor to get corruption and dark money out of politics. Absolutely. But you can't pick and choose which corruption, you know? It's like, if you're fine with Ken Paxton, the most corrupt politician in Texas history, you can't be like, Ken's draining the swamp, unless Ken's going down the drain with all of them.
Yeah, no. What Ken is doing is looking at the swamp, seeing all the corruption, and being like, you know what we should do? We should see if we could get more immigrants caught in barbed wire. That's what Ken Paxton. That's
literally. And then also, let me find this in here. I think they're also, like, it's not just the state legislature. Like, I think they're also trying to get rid of judges. Like, these people are out of their minds. Let's see. Paxton also mounted a campaign to oust 3 female judges. Imagine, just like the 3 women they tried to fire who were presidents of Ivy League universities. You know what I mean? So 3 female judges on the Court of Criminal Appeals, they were part of an 8-1 majority that stripped Paxton of the power to prosecute voter fraud without permission from local prosecutors. So remember, he wanted to round up brown people, like what Ron DeSantis did in Florida, like round up random brown people he felt were voting illegally and just put them in jail.
Yeah, so he wanted, and what the courts ruled is like, hey, dude, there's jurisdictions, right? Like, if you're going to operate in a jurisdiction, you have to use law enforcement, or they have to be aware, they have to be involved. And he's like, no, I don't want anybody to know what I'm doing. So now he's after them. And by the way, I resent the fact that you said that you brought up that these are 3 women, because I have spoken to many Republicans, and they've all told me they care more about women than liberals do. So I resent that.
That's true.
A little bit, Felice.
That's
they've told
true.
me, every one of them has told me
They're
that
just
they care
trying to
more.
save women and children. Yeah. That's
Look,
actually,
it's not their fault. Look, they care so much about women that they recognize that women aren't capable of making their own decisions. And so they are going to do the right thing and use their big male brains to tell women what to do because they care.
I did not
It's
know where you
because
were
they
going.
care.
It's because they. Okay, so
Yeah.
you don't have. Were you banned from True Social? Do I remember that? Do you have True Social?
Yeah, I do.
Well, if you can't open it, like, so this is all, like, right now, Trump has, this is so funny, whatever it's called.
Was this on one of your numbers? Or are you telling me to go to
Oh, no,
Truth
I'm just
Social?
telling you to look at this because I pulled it up and I didn't know he had done it. Every single, because I just want to show you what I mean about what he's doing. He's retweeting every endorsement. Like, so every race that's up in Texas, everyone in Alabama, everyone in North Carolina, all these people we're talking about, like, he's endorsing right now. And like retruthing his original endorsements. I mean, he's probably not doing this. He's probably forcing someone else to do it. But it's just interesting. Like, here's an example. Congressman Lance Gooden is doing a phenomenal job representing the people of Texas' 5th Congressional District. It's going to be interesting. I feel like I'm going to go through all these later and check the results and see like what Trump's record is. But
Yeah, let's do that.
it's just very interesting how Ken Paxton, a man whose crimes, real estate crimes, fraud, financial fraud crimes, has a mistress, all these things that are very parallel to Donald Trump, right? All of their interests align. Now Trump is on Truth Social backing all of Ken Paxton's candidates. Like, these birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think what we should do, I tried to get on True Social. I guess it's only on I don't have the login saved on my computer, so it's only on my phone. But we should look at the races that he endorsed where it's a close race. And I would almost guarantee that every race that's a close race where he's endorsed, his candidate will underperform. Like if this is gonna hold true, if our thoughts about the Republican Party are that Donald Trump is a drag on the Republican Party, then the races that are close, the Trump candidate should underperform. We'll find out. That would be a huge story tomorrow.
Here, I found his one. So we were saying the guy that who's Ken Paxton's main enemy, Dade Phelan, the one who helped lead the impeachment, the Speaker of the Texas State House. This is Trump endorsing his opponent. David Covey is running against Dade Phelan, the Speaker of the Texas House of Representatives, who led the fraudulent impeachment of the recently reelected in a landslide Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton. David is an America First conservative who will secure the border, restore election integrity, protect our families and military vets, and defend our under siege Second Amendment. When is the Second Amendment? You know who's under siege? The children in schools are actually under siege, not the Second Amendment.
What have they done?
Listen to the last
Second
paragraph.
Amendment.
Any Republican backing Phelan is a fool and should be disassociated from the Republican Party. That's how bad Phelan is, especially on election integrity. Oh, because he wouldn't help Trump say that the 2020 election was stolen.
Yeah, what?
This is wild.
Yeah, what the fuck is he worried about anyways? Trump won Texas. Like, what do you mean election security? You didn't want to spend millions of dollars chasing affidavits that nobody could prove? You didn't want to do that?
I guess he probably didn't shout loud enough that the election was for Trump. You know what I mean?
Coming from a state that has wasted millions of dollars on these bullshit election fraud investigations, like, it's good for you, Texas. I'm happy for you. Standing like waste our state's entire resources on bullshit because it's fruitless and probably criminal. There's a real chance. Like, there are people who have gone who have been charged. I don't know if they're in jail, but people who have been charged for criminal activity trying to subvert the election on the right, not on the left. Zero evidence of anybody on the left doing anything. But yeah, good for you, Texas. Good for you. I think Texas is fucking done with these people. I really do. You look at the polls. You look at the polling for Ted Cruz. Like, I've seen neck and neck, and I've seen it leaning blue. the fact that Texas is leaning blue. Remember, Beto lost by 6 to 8 points, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Like just in 2 short years, and we also know, if history holds from the last 8 years, we also know that these polls overrepresent Republicans, or at least Republican voters, and that they are underperforming the polls at all times. Texas is, I think, if I had to guess, that a majority of Texans are embarrassed by their governor, by their what is he again? What's old douchebag Paxton? Is he the Secretary of State? What is he?
He's the Attorney General.
Governor?
Attorney General.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. Attorney General. Fuck that guy. They're all sick of it. They're embarrassing. Everybody that's embarrassing Texas, we're seeing it in the polling. Like, they're done with Ted Cruz. They're like, God damn, we sent the most unlikable human ever to the Senate. Like, you can't be liked in the Senate. Everybody in the Senate hates Ted Cruz. Everyone. This is, I think this is going to be a real telling night. I'll probably spend a lot of time on TikTok today. Maybe even hosting panels.
I agree. I feel, and I also love that people are coming in saying they just voted. Like, it does feel like a very important day. Like, that's how I was feeling watching different news stories this morning. Just not to go back to, what is it? Mark Robinson, that non-amazing fellow. But Rachel Maddow was talking about him. Mark Robinson, if you remember, like,
non-amazing fellow. That's how you insult. You're so sweet. Like, that's how you insult somebody.
Not amazing fellow. Yes, Mark Robinson is probably the most vile person now. Like we were saying yesterday, now that J.R. Majewski had to drop out of the race of the primary because he used the R slur when referring like to Special Olympic athletes, and
can we quote that without saying it? I do think people need. It's awful, but I think people need to understand what this guy said.
I mean, isn't that what he said, basically?
Yeah, I'll pull it up. I'll say it. I'll take the heat on this one. All right. I think there's 2 things that are important. 1, to know what he said, and 2, to hear his response to it.
I think I have the screenshot. I might have the screenshot of that, actually, from yesterday, unless I deleted it. It's in yesterday's outline in the articles. Both things are.
So... In a podcast, I don't know whose podcast this was.
Oh, I found it. I got it. I have them if you want me to read them.
I've got it. It's fine. I just was trying to figure out. Do you know whose podcast that was?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay. So out of nowhere, he says, shout out to all the Democrats living in mom's basement that like to talk shit on the internet. You know, no matter how hard you try arguing on the internet, it's like being in the Special Olympics. No matter how good you perform, you're still fucking R word at the end of the day. Right? So, first of all, the mom's basement joke is so played out. And that's like all Republican jokes and like all people who are popular in the Republican Party. They're using recycled jokes that like might have landed 10 years ago.
This is a man also, if you don't remember who J.R. Majewski was, the first time he tried to run, he ran in Ohio in 2020 during the midterms in 2022, backed by Donald Trump, and he was exposed for saying that he was a combat veteran and it was a lie. And among other things, like the same things we said, like I said, I was just saying Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson is the worst Republican running probably on Super Tuesday now that Majewski is out. So just all the things we were saying that Mark Robinson says, yes, this guy says very similar awful things.
And let's just say this too, like that, before we get to his response, this idea of people like spending their time arguing on the internet, like I love when people like Majewski criticize that. Like, we all do things. Right? We all spend time on things that maybe don't have a lot of meaning, but it's something we enjoy. Like, people have hobbies. Like, this is a hobby for some people. It's a job for others. I hate when people use that as an insult. Oh, you're aware of current events. Oh, you're arguing about things that are happening in this country. Like, for that to be an insult is a
wait.
silly.
You mean like because people wait? Say it because you mean like people insult us for like
No, I'm
doing
saying
this
he's
in general?
he's insulting people that say they talk shit and argue on the internet and live in their
Oh, okay,
mom's
yeah.
basement. Like,
Oh, yeah,
like
I
that's
get
an
what you're
insult.
saying.
Like we don't all like what were your hobbies? Like watching shitty comedy and then jumping on a shitty podcast and repeating the shitty comedy jokes that you heard. Like it's like a Brendan Schaub fan. But then like he says that, right? Awful thing to say. You would expect that should end a candidate, but not in MAGA. With MAGA, it's not going to end your candidacy. In fact, it will help. And then he said this: after carefully considering the pressure and attacks by the Washington establishment machine, all caps, or not all caps, but like as if that's a proper noun, the WEM. Maybe we can make some WEM shirts. We can be the Washington establishment machine. My family and I have decided that there is no mission
Start a
more
band.
important than continuing this race and standing strong for the patriots I committed to fight for.
Yeah,
So that's his
basically,
first
people
comment.
were calling him, like, on him now to drop out of the primary after he said this horrible thing about Special Olympic athletes. Yeah, people were like, oh, you've got to go. And so this is his, like, defiant, like, I'm not going anywhere.
And,
wanna
and
read
now he's kind of sort of walked it back and just said, if my comments put me in a position where I can't win the general election, then I got to do the smart thing, right? That's what he told, I think, Lucas County Republicans. Basically saying, like, yeah, if these comments prove that I can't win a general election, I should probably bow out. Don't prove it, Ohio. Ohio Republicans, don't gain a conscience
he is
now.
out. You do know that, right? Like, what are you saying? Yeah, so he dropped out. Yeah, that like first
Right.
he made this.
Yeah.
He's
We're almost
out
there.
now.
I wasn't there yet.
Oh, okay. I got confused. I'm sorry for ruining it.
So
Or
then
we
he
did-
said, I'm going to be back. I'm thinking about backing out. And I was saying, Ohio Republicans, you should have doubled down. You should have kept being yourselves, and you should have stayed on brand and got this guy and pushed him through the primary. But unfortunately,
listen to this. This is what he said. He said, this is hilarious. Despite these organizations' vicious attempt to quite literally write my resignation, I have one very strong message. I will not cower to corruption. I will not be threatened, and I will never stop fighting for this country and the amazing people of Northwest Ohio.
and with that, I'd like to announce that although I will never quit fighting, I'm going to quit fighting and drop
Yeah.
out of my.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
3
drop
days
out.
later, 72 hours later, he's like, I'm never gonna quit yelling the R slur.
Yeah,
Then
I'm
3 days
fighting.
later, he's like, I will be quitting yelling the R slur. Oh no, and then I'm remembering now, sorry, because I couldn't remember what was funny about this. I'm pretty sure in this, like, he basically said at one part, like, and it's not because Trump asked me, did you read? Yeah. Okay, here it is. And to the fake news who incessantly spreads partisan bullshit, President Trump did not ask me to get out of this race.
Yeah, which is code for.
Which is horrible,
Which is
right? Because
code
that
for-
means Trump's fine with him yelling the R slur.
No, I think it's code for somebody from Trump's team said, get the fuck out of the race. I think this is an absolute lie. And I think that he's prefacing this because there's leaks. We all know Trumpers leak. And we all know this story will get out there. 100% chance that somebody from the Trump team asked him to get out of the race. Just like there's a 95% chance that Donald Trump was behind that bribe to Carrie Lake. But one thing we learned about Donald Trump from not only his rider, but from people who worked on The Apprentice, people that worked for him, people in his family, and his time as presidency, he's terrified to fire people. He won't do it. His catchphrase is, you're fired. He won't fucking fire people because he's a coward and he needs people to love him. So somebody made that phone call. Donald Trump was 100% behind that. 100. And again, not because he didn't like what he said, but because it might hurt his chances in Ohio. That's it. Donald Trump does not care what he said.
This and his resignation, letter. It's funny because it's just a series of weird quotes, and it's like here's one. While I know I would win and have a great shot in the general election, now that my record has been cleared, it is inevitable that the deep state will do whatever it takes to fight against me, even
Gotcha,
going
bitch.
as far as attacking my family and once again accusing me of stolen valor. Listen. he lied about stolen valor, and then he got fact checked, and he had to apologize in 2022 and admit that he was never in combat, despite having told everyone that he had seen combat. Like, so I don't know what he's talking about.
It's like if I was mad at people for accusing me of having a potty mouth. Yeah, like that I do, and you are stolen valor, you dumb dick.
Listen to this one. Quote, earlier this week, I reaffirmed my dedication to fighting for those who feel as if their voices are being ignored by the DC elite. Well, the best way to do that is to dedicate all of my energy to the one man who I know will crush the deep state. That man is President Donald J. Trump. And to the fake news who incessantly spreads bipartisan bullshit, President Trump did not ask me to get out of this race. MAGA, there's your soundbite. End quote. Now listen to this part,
hey guys, I just need you to know I'm out of the race, but I will never stop licking Donald Trump's asshole. I will not stop. It is the only asshole for me. I will never stop. That is an insane thing to write. You're like, I'm stepping out. But by the way, Donald Trump is our Lord and Savior, and he's the only human on earth that can save us. That's fucking weird. That is a weird thing to say for any human, let alone somebody that was considered to be a congressman.
Well, and like, listen to this is just the last paragraph. Now, this is not in quotation marks, even though this is a letter and it doesn't really make sense why so many other random things are. J.R. Majewski was repeatedly, he just needs to say, this is him, I guess, setting the record straight. J.R. Majewski was repeatedly lied about by Marcy Kaptur and the mainstream media in his Yes. No, the other ones, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You guys, this is a letter on letterhead, but then it's not like, which would be him writing, right? So like, obviously you don't need to put things in quotation, but it's not just, this doesn't make any sense. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's almost like the last paragraph is like an obituary or something, referring to him, even though it's allegedly him. So J.R. Majewski was repeatedly lied about by Marcy Kaptur and the mainstream media in his 2022 campaign. Despite these vicious attacks, J.R. was able to prove that he served his country admirably, but not in combat, JR. Stop writing. That's what this whole thing was about. Yeah, it turned out you like loaded trucks or something, and we're never in combat.
Admirably? Wait, hold on. If you go and you serve and then you lie about that service, you still get to use the word admirably? He served admirably.
I don't think other veterans appreciate stolen valor, JR. Like, what are you talking about? Despite these vicious attacks, JR was able to prove that he served his country admirably and was completely exonerated. Like, this is Trump. You know what I mean? Before his campaign, JR worked in the nuclear industry and was the most active Trump supporter in the state of Ohio, for the record. He likes nuclear power, and there is not a bigger Trump fan in the state of Ohio than that. That's the last things he needs all of us to know. Think about it. This is Walton Outa vibes. This is human shield vibes. What he's saying to Trump is, please let me be your body man. Let me use me as a human shield in a criminal case. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Two things. Kristen in the Discord wants to know if we always match colors or if it's a happy coincidence. Happy coincidence. But maybe we start. Maybe we ought to start planning our outfit in the morning.
That's the next move for this brand.
Is there a possibility that Republicans think exonerate means proven lying? Like they proved I was lying? The way that they use exonerate is at best incorrect, at worst moronic. When this person is saying that they were completely exonerated about stolen valor, no, they were caught. They apologized. JR already said sorry for this in his way, but I don't know what you think exonerated means. That's what I'd like to ask.
Well, I mean, it's just the complete.
Giddy.
Mr. Mittens. It's the complete disregard for the truth. Like, it's just like, I was exonerated. No, you publicly said you were in combat. Then it was revealed you were not in combat. Then you stood there while your family had to stand behind you. I remember. And you were like very vague, not unlike this letter where he had to admit that he was not in combat. Like, and you're continuing to disrespect other veterans. You know what I mean? Like, it's super honorable to serve in the military, whether in combat or not. Like, just own your stuff and then to continue lying. But yeah, he wants to be Walt Nada. This is like the next guy. It's going to come, some SA allegations. Then Trump's going to hire him to be his body man. Then Trump's next criminal trial, J.R. Majewski will be under the wheels of that bus. This is like, Trump has a type. You know what I mean? And this is it.
This is, yeah. And he has said it recently. I love people who love me.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you see somebody said Mittens Romney? That's your cat's name? Did you know that?
Yeah, no, for real. That it occurred to me because of your love for Mitt Romney. I was like, I must have named my cat unconsciously after Mitt Romney. You knew. I have to play you something.
Everybody in this room loves Mitt Romney. Just some are afraid to admit it. I just want to say that everybody listening right now loves Mitt Romney.
That must be what it is. It's not. It could be that people don't love him. Okay, I gotta just to go along the lines of what we were talking about with, Republicans and Super Tuesday. All I heard yesterday, I keep hearing about how Republicans support women and children. Well, remember how I told you that there's that group of people that meet on the side of the highway outside of Mar-a-Lago, like once a week? Yeah. They meet like along the Florida highway and like barbecue. Okay, well,
yeah. There's something about being MAGA that demands that when you're speaking, there be the most loud and obnoxious noise possible happening. That's why Trump does all his press conferences on the tarmac at Mar-a-Lago, and now people are like, it'd be a nice quiet place for a picnic, the fucking highway.
Yeah, let's roast hot dogs on the side of the Florida highway, as close to Mar-a-Lago as they'll let us. But listen, this is actually really sad. This is just... Every time, you know how we always have to hear about groomers and the left and teachers are groomers now and the LGBTQ. Yeah. Well, let me just. This is the saddest clip I've ever heard from the side of the highway at the Trump barbecue where these people meet. This is.
Life is a highway.
This is really
we should make
sad,
a compilation video.
Okay, so this is a 10-year-old kid whose parents are standing behind him. Now, you want to talk about indoctrination. This is a 10-year-old child.
Now, Colin, can you tell us how old you are? I am 10 years old. And why do you support President Trump? Because he protects us, he protects America, and he was making a border for the U.S. and Mexico to separate us so nothing bad happens.
He said he's creating a border between us and Mexico to separate us so nothing bad happens. Way to demonize and dehumanize brown people, to a 10-year-old.
I realize
right now, as people are hurting the USA from Mexico, and if it was under Trump and Trump was president, it would never happen, and all the wars wouldn't happen. And what's worth more under President Trump? Hold that up. Show the camera. The dollar was worth. The dollar is worth more under President Trump.
So you've taught your child to hate everyone south of the southern border. Like, how sad.
That's the thing. Like, I'm not going to shit on a 10-year-old kid, right?
They're standing right behind him.
Proud as can be. Proud as can be.
The parents are right behind him. Like, we're so proud of this moment.
If you're going to talk about indoctrination, and then you're going to sit there and proudly listen to your kid lie and make shit up, then who's indoctrinating? Donald Trump is not creating a border. Our country has had a border since it was a country, and then the border has shifted a bit as we stole land from Mexico and as we stole land from indigenous people. Our borders kind of shifted, but we have a border now. If he means a wall, he didn't do a goddamn thing about that, and he's not doing anything to fix our border crisis. Now, the border that they feel, the border that this 10-year-old kid feels, by the way, because he's not being given like any sort of nuance, this kid is literally being bred to be afraid of Mexicans or brown people,
It's
which is the
yeah,
same.
it's horrible.
Which to my mother and father, it's the same. Like all brown people are Mexicans, but my mom calls them Spanish because she thinks that's actually the appropriate way to refer to Mexicans. But
Yeah,
yeah,
which is
like
even
most
more
Republicans don't even understand anything south of that border. It's just all Mexico, and they've been raised to be afraid of brown people. This kid is 10 years old. He's afraid of brown people. He's going to go to school. There's going to be brown kids. He's going to be afraid of them. Like that's what you're indoctrinating your kids to be, afraid of people from another country. Cool.
Yeah, like be super proud of that. Like, it's just super sad. I don't even know what else to say. Like that broke my heart because normally I do like the weekly side of the highway Trump barbecue meetups, but like don't bring your 10-year-old child and convince him. Like I said, when I was a second grade teacher, I had kids come in all the time and say things like that, and you just knew, like okay, this is what the parents are teaching.
I would like to point out that although I wouldn't be as outraged necessarily by the content, if I saw a 10-year-old kid being interviewed about Joe Biden and all he had was just generic stories about Joe Biden, but like that made Joe Biden seem like a king, I would also be concerned about that. Like kids don't need to get stuck in these political games that they rah cheerleader for a party. Like we've already, most of us that aren't rah cheerleaders for the party, like we've had to grow out of that. We had to escape our own indoctrination. But it's sad for a lot of reasons. Number one, these parents clearly don't understand what the truth is. Two, like they're forcing their kids at an early age to be divisive. And three, fuck them. I didn't have a three. I thought I had a three and I didn't. So I just went with fuck them at the end.
No, that's appropriate. That's really appropriate. I just want to play also this.
Thank you.
No, I mean it's just sad. I don't know what to say about it. Like let's just move on from it because maybe I shouldn't have played it because it does make me sad. Not the kids. Everyone else but the kids. Please leave the children alone. Let them decide who they want to be. Hopefully in like 2 decades. Hopefully this is not even a thing anymore.
The overwhelming point though is just like you can't take people seriously talking about indoctrination when these are their kids. You just can't do that. Like indoctrinating your kid. Like let's compare the two. Let's just be real about this. Let's compare the two. When they're talking about indoctrination, they're talking about trans kids. How is it indoctrination to tell your child that they can be whatever they want? Why? That's not indoctrination. It's literally the opposite of indoctrination. You are who you are, be who you want to be. That's as a parent that's checking out and saying like, hey, look, I'm not going to force you to be what I want you to be. I'm not going to set those expectations. I'm here to support you, be who you want to be. How is that indoctrination? How is hearing that from your school teacher when you go to school and you say my pronouns are they, them, and the teacher's like, great, they, them, got it. I'll do my best to remember that. How is that indoctrination? The other kids are using their pronouns. They're using their. Literally, nobody is being.
You'd have to use logic to answer that. It doesn't. It's like if we say, right, okay, like let's take MAGA. They believe there's only 2 genders, so it's like to say the mere knowledge that if you're a man and women exist, then you might become one. Do you know what I mean? Like, how does that make any sense? Like, just by having information, here are the ways in which people identify. And as you get older, you will self-actualize and decide who you are. That's what children do. That's how you develop.
Well, and you can't. So if you're gonna claim that God said there's 2 genders, well then it's textbook definition indoctrination. You're talking about your religious beliefs. That is indoctrination. So if you want to teach that in school, that's indoctrination. But if you don't want to talk about your religious beliefs and you're still opposed to people using their pronouns, then you have to take the scientific approach. And unfortunately, science has changed. Like science has gotten better, and we have more and more scientific evidence that there are more than 2 genders. So you're stuck when you're a Republican. If you don't want to defend it on your spiritual or religious beliefs, then you have to defend it from like science, like outdated science, and you have to reject new science. Both of those positions are not good positions to be in for in any scenario, like in any debate. You do not want to be the person that relies either on your beliefs or outdated science, but that's the Republicans. It's outdated science and their belief system. And then call everybody, and then call
Exclusively.
new science is indoctrination. Like, they would have fucking hated the Wright brothers. People are for the ground! People, stay on the ground!
Guys, tap the screen. We're almost to 100K. It's already almost, time is going fast. It's already 10:50. Tap the screen. If there are Republicans in here, we would love to talk about who you're going to vote for. Convince us to vote for Trump or RFK. Yes, or you tell us why we should vote for Trump or RFK. I have not heard from RFK in the last, anything about him for the last week. Is he even doing appearances? I can't hear you. I was like, are you talking?
Mostly on obscure right-wing podcasts, and his team tweets at me a lot. Not tweets at me, responds to my tweets a lot. I've been on a thread with them forever. They're trying to convince this country that RFK has policies that he's running on. That's it. And they're not doing a good job convincing anybody that he has any real policies. I don't know what he's doing. I don't get RFK. I don't get what he's doing. I guess if you want to believe the worst in him, you'll believe that he's just getting paid by Republicans. I have a hard time believing that that's the case, but I don't get what he's running for or on. He has no he has legitimately no policy prescriptions. He'll say things. The other day I heard him talking about our children's future, and he's like, yeah, our children are fucked. BlackRock and all these corporations are buying up all the houses. They can afford to pay these premium prices. Your kids will never be able to buy a house. I was like, good. And then he just moved on to the next thing. He doesn't ever, he's every once in a while stumbles across something, and then you're like, what are you going to do about that? And he's like, let me talk more about
need to fix
how
that.
COVID vaccines are a problem.
For his children, his children have trust funds. He doesn't, he's so out of touch. That's the thing. It's he's a Nepo baby who had some interest in environmental issues for a while, but really is a Nepo baby who's never had a problem in his life and makes a ton of money. He makes so much money off fronting, being the face of environmental causes. He basically is paid huge consultancy fees for it. It's pretty weird.
Yeah, if I'm gonna take you seriously, then the stuff that I'm gonna listen to the stuff you say the most. And with RFK, the things that he says the most are just vaccine conspiracies and and constant complaining about the government and vaccines. So I don't care. If you spent all your time talking about how you're going to fix housing, how you're going to fix wealth inequality, which he's mentioned other times, I would take it seriously that you cared about that. But I think he feels slighted because he was a vaccine skeptic or vaccine denier or COVID denier, whatever you want to call him. And I think that he got butthurt, and now he just is enjoying his time in the spotlight, going and doing that. I think you're right, and making money from his appearance fees.
Want to go over yesterday? Trump did his presser after SCOTUS's ruling, which was hilarious because he can't help himself now. Which, first of all, you know how I pay for Junior's podcast? Well, first of all, the way he admires his father is so sad. Actually, I should play this before we play clips of the of this presser because I just want to show how delusional Junior is. Well, first of all, his eyes, he could not open his eyes because he rotates between uppers and downers, you know what I mean? So it just depends on the day. There's days where he's talking a mile a minute, and then there's other days where he cannot keep his eyes open, and that was one of these days. But listen to this is just listen to what how delusional Junior is about dear old dad. He loves his dad so much. It's never going to happen, Junior. He's never going to love you.
In New York, the state attorney general's office and Manhattan district attorney have been doing everything they can to destroy the life of former Trump org CEO Alan Weisselberg. They threatened him with 15 years in jail again, on bogus perjury charges. And now he's going to plead guilty to 5 months in jail.
That he pled guilty
to make that go away because a 75-year-old guy isn't going to roll the dice with the rest of his life. So they get him to say that he lied on something that's pretty clear he didn't. And you know what? I get it. But that's the game. It's downright awful. And it's corrupt to the core.
The projection. But just so let's be clear, we are talking about the CFO, which this is very telling. I don't think like MAGA, you might learn something here. The CFO of the Trump organization, right, has pled guilty and been convicted, right, of fraud, of a huge tax fraud, right? Then he went to jail. Then he is pleading guilty, not because, like Junior says, it didn't happen, but because now when not the Trump organization was on trial, but now Trump's own fraud trial that just happened, right? Weisselberg was deposed for that and testified and perjured himself. Right.
Yeah.
And then when the federal judge, what's her name's, I believe, Barbara Jones, who's now the oversight in the ex-federal judge who now is doing oversight. She's the Trump appointed monitor. And they've gone through all these facts and have combed over all the emails, the financial documents, all that. Now he's been caught that he lied in his testimony. That's why he's pleading guilty, because of all the information that has come out.
Yeah, to be clear, he's lying. He lied under oath that he did not know about Donald Trump lying about the size of his triplex, and this was in a Forbes interview. Well, unfortunately for the Trump team, they were able to confirm that Weisselberg was there for the interview. He lied about being there for the interview. It was he had to plead guilty. He had been caught. And then
that's what I'm trying to say. It's not like a he said, she said, like Michael Cohen is saying Alan Weisselberg lied. Like, it's indisputable. He's caught.
There's also important part from his testimony there that really hurts Donald Trump. One of the parts that really hurts Donald Trump is that with these inflated numbers, the ones that were obvious, right? The ones where the valuation was obviously off, Weisselberg was asked about reviewing these numbers, and he admitted under oath that he didn't look into the way that Trump arrived at those numbers. Not Weisselberg arrived at those numbers and put it on paper and sent it back to Trump. He said, I didn't look into how Donald Trump acquired those numbers. It blows the argument of Trump just signed the document. That's like, that defense is gone forever. Weisselberg was trying to say, like, you know what? I didn't do my due diligence. I should have checked the numbers that Trump gave me, and I didn't do that. That was part of his original guilty plea, right? Now, he's getting a 5-month sentence, and this is what John Jr. is trying to say, is that he took a 5-month sentence rather than go to trial and risk the 7 years that he possibly
whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the max is. It might be more than 7.
If this was circumstantial, if they didn't have good evidence, then it would be easy for Weisselberg to beat these charges and not worry about going to jail. You don't plead guilty unless the evidence is overwhelming. And the attorney general out here is saying, like, and the judge who did the sentencing, they're all taking into account his age. He's getting a slap on the wrist. He's getting 5 months for this. But again, it completely blows apart Donald Trump's defense, and it's obvious that he lied. This is like every Trump case so far that he's lost. It's been open and shut with no real defense.
Well, and also notice that the other interesting thing that's come out is, like, he's being, I mean, you can call it what you want. I'm going to call it blackmail. Like, Weisselberg's basically being blackmailed by Trump. Like, he basically said that, after all this, going to jail, all this stuff, if he wanted a severance package, it would be paid out in installments, right? He didn't just give him his money. It would be paid out in installments. And it was agreed upon that even though he was pleading guilty and all this stuff would happen, he could never testify or work with the government. Like, that's part of the agreement. Trump is basically saying, if you want what I owe you, I'm going to pay it out to you over time as you demonstrate your loyalty to me. And you can specifically never cooperate with the government. If you're like, why would a 70-plus-year-old man be going back to Rikers? You guys, I don't know, I used to live in New York City, going anywhere near Rikers, being on the bus to Rikers is like a traumatizing experience. You don't go back to Rikers as a 70-plus-year-old man, but he will never get the rest of his money if he works against Trump or says the truth.
Like, Weisselberg's
that's
help
what I'm saying, for his family, absolutely. And he lost, like, in his tax in the trial that he pled guilty to, like, I can't remember, he enriched himself, like engorged himself as well. Like he got like an apartment stuff. Like, so, and I'm pretty sure like he had to give back a lot of stuff. Like I know that, yeah, like part of the tax fraud for Weisselberg had, not unlike what's going on with the NRA, some of the money had been spent on luxury items for him. And so, yeah, that's exactly, you hit the nail on the head. That's what I was trying to say. Like his wife, whoever else needs that money. And so he can't testify against Trump, or he's not going to get the rest of his money. And he still, I think I heard, I can't remember where, I'm looking at a New York Times article right now called "Key Figure in Trump's Business Pleads Guilty to Felony Perjury," but I think I'm going to have read it in the Washington Post article. But yeah, like I think he still has half of it to pay out, like over $1 million. So he can't turn on Trump because Trump won't pay him the rest of his money.
What was his total severance?
I think it was like 2 million. I'm not, I'm just going off of what me. I have a very good memory. I'm pretty sure it's like 2 million. It's not enough for what it's happened to him.
I was gonna say that's remarkably low for a person who helped build his dad's business, which then Trump inherited. That is a remarkably low number for Donald Trump.
Yeah, this is nice. This is the best Trump's treated anyone. You know what I mean? This is the gold standard. And he's like, slowly, someone said they're trying to join. Will, are you opposition? Do you want to join?
I see plenty of people. Yeah, I see. If you're opposition, Will, just request. I don't know what to tell you, but talk to Jen. Will you communicate with Will, and I can try? Oh, the Discord. Oh, send Jen a message. Sorry, I think I have some Discord requests sitting in my DMs that I haven't looked at. I forgot to check my.
How can
folder.
Trump pay him? Trump decides what to. I'm sure this is one of the payments Trump will make, right? It's ensuring that this man essentially does not turn on him. Like that's the really interesting part that's come out in all this, is like, in order to get the rest of his severance that Alan Weisberg very much needs, like he cannot turn on Trump. And that's why, for the second time, a 70-plus-year-old well-to-do, white-collar criminal is going to go back to like one of the scariest jails like in the country. Good luck to you, sir.
It's a little sad, but he's been a criminal for his whole life. So,
but yeah, so that's Junior, and I don't know if you heard Junior say, like, he's like, oh wait, let me play one more clip, and just know that this clip you're about to hear, it's like 22 seconds, and Junior's eyes are completely closed. Like, this is his clip right before, like, he put, so sad. Yes, I follow him on Instagram. Don't judge me. He puts out like a clip on Instagram before like his podcast.
Yeah.
That was sort of an amazing presser, right? 20 minutes off the cuff.
So he said he's talking so fast. Also, again, just picture his eyes are
the
closed.
uppers hit. Yeah.
He's saying, that was an amazing presser, right? Like, that's what he just said. He's talking about, he's so impressed with his daddy. He's talking about his dad's press conference.
That was sort of an amazing presser, right? 20 minutes off the cuff, impromptu, no notes, no podium, no teleprompter. And like, you realize Joe Biden would be incapable of standing on his own for 20 minutes, let alone anything else. But for those of you who missed it, just tuning in now, I see the numbers going up a little bit. So, new episode of Triggered going live in about 9 minutes.
So yeah,
Dope.
He's talking. Yeah, so many things there. But just imagine, like, first of all, why is he talking so fast? Like, it's out of control. But he's talking about how impressed he is with his dad. Now we're going to go over this press conference, and you can then decide if you think this press conference is impressive or not.
Yeah, real quick, just a message from Denise. Denise sent a donation and said, "For love you both, keep it up." Thanks, Denise. We love you too.
Thank you, D. Nice. I used to have one of my best friends in college. She was on the tennis team. Her name was Denise, and she used to have like two alter egos, D Nasty and D Nice.
Ooh, I like that. I like D Nasty. Yeah.
Yeah, she was super cool.
That's a good sports nickname.
Yeah, she was really cool. Miss her. Shout out to Denise. And thank you for the donation, Denise. And what are we at here? Tap the screen, guys. Let's get to 120K. Okay,
Hey,
so back to the press
Can you hear me
conference.
okay?
I can't. You're a little quiet.
It's weird, like my mic is not picking up. It's not like lighting up. I'll mess with it. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I can hear you. Like, yeah, I can definitely hear you. Okay, so now moving on to this press conference, which I don't know what Junior's talking about, but Trump basically is supposed to be talking about what the Supreme Court's ruling was. But I think really what comes through, and this for me, is the anxiety he has, right? Like all he keeps saying is like, I need that presidential immunity. I need that presidential immunity.
Gotta get that
like,
presidential immunity.
any subject he goes off of somehow, like he's like, I've defeated ISIS and I need that presidential immunity. Like it's so crazy. I just really need that presidential immunity.
And I think it will go a long way toward bringing our country together, which our country needs. And they worked long, they worked hard, and frankly, they worked very quickly on something that will be spoken about 100 years from now and 200 years from now. Extremely important. Important decision were very well crafted, and I think it will go a long way.
Oh, sorry, I just replayed that one. Okay.
Imagine if you only if you played that clip.
Decision. Can you imagine if it didn't go his way? Would it have been a well-crafted decision?
Or just imagine if you played that clip to somebody and didn't tell them what it was in reference to. Like, what the fuck is he saying? It was well
100 years from now, long, hard, well-crafted. Yeah. Nobody knows because he doesn't even know what he's talking about.
And while we're on the subject, and another thing that will be coming up very soon will be immunity for a president, and not immunity for me, but for any president.
Oh, not for me.
If a president doesn't have full immunity, you really don't have a president, because nobody that is serving in that office will have the courage to make, in many cases, what would be the right decision, or it could be the wrong decision. It could be, in some cases, the wrong decision, but they have to make decisions, and they have to make them free of all terror that can be rained upon them when they leave office, or even before they leave office. And
so just imagine Junior's like, that was the best press conference. He was no script. Like he's rambling. He's literally like, yes, I need presidential immunity. Literally looking off into space, just rambling.
Yeah, the two guys previous to you, like just unabashedly murdered people all across the Middle East, right? And then you did it too. Can we please stop pretending that our presidents don't already have more immunity than they should? Like,
and
when
not
he
just
said,
our presidents. Yeah, look at Kissinger.
And again, what's remaining of his charges? Let's talk about like the Georgia election. Some of that took place before he left office. Some of it took place after. But again, like, do we think that the president gets immunity from election interference, or trying to stage a coup, or engage in an insurrection? And then the documents case, like all of that happened after he was president. So what are we talking about here? This is so silly.
It's really going to get weirder. I promise you that.
Goose.
Ended. We were fighting for 20 years against ISIS, and we did it very well.
This is Trump's going to explain to us how he defeated ISIS. Like, also, please remember, Trump is the one who he likes to say that Obama had killed a lot of people with drone strikes, but Trump changed the law so he could stop reporting drone strikes once he had beat Obama's record. He changed the law so he no longer gives transparency to citizens about his drone strikes.
Which again, what's more, the guy that's fighting the guy that's fighting the deep state, right? The swamp drainer, the guy that's fighting the deep state. Let's just point out two things. Number one, he's like, I don't want to tell the American people who were just murdering. I don't want to tell them anymore. And you're like, cool, that's great. We want our government not to tell us anything. And then two, makes all of these new laws regarding how you handle classified documents, and then immediately breaks them the second he leaves office. Like this is your guy. This is your drain the swamper.
The MAGA cult followers are the ones who are like, there were no wars under Trump. This is a man who changed laws so that he could murder people with impunity and not have to tell Americans.
Yeah. War has turned into like, you know what's not war? Drone strikes. You know what is war? Sending money. Sending money is war.
Or it's exactly.
But drone
Or
strikes,
it's like, think
not
about it.
war.
It's like if nobody knows is what he's saying. He's like, I didn't unalive a bunch of people because I changed the law and they don't know about it.
Yeah, I remember you blew up I remember you blew up an airport though and took out some innocent people there. I remember that.
He did do that.
We were fighting for 20 years against ISIS, and we did it very quickly. I don't want to be prosecuted. In that case, it worked out very well. There will be some things that perhaps don't work out so well.
Can you pause that?
I don't want to be prosecuted.
Can you pause it right there?
Yeah.
Great news, Donnie. You're not being prosecuted for that, you dumb dick. Like, what is he talking about? Oh, I don't want to be prosecuted for that. Good, you're not. Like, you're being prosecuted for other things. Why are you even talking about this? Nobody
We
has
have
brought
long
charges
let
for you.
presidents commit genocides, wage genocides for years on end and never held them accountable. Look at the butcher of Cambodia, Henry Kissinger, given like a hero's funeral. This man is responsible for more deaths. Like he could not travel to the hundreds of countries because they wanted to snap him up and try him for war crimes. We absolutely have immunity in this country for the things that presidents and other people are doing.
I mean this in like the most I'll just say this is laughable. The fact that Republicans hear this and don't laugh is the sad part. Like Donald Trump is so clearly here talking about something that is not on the table to defend why he did illegal things and why he should be allowed to do them. Nobody's coming after you for war crimes. Maybe we should, but nobody is. And it's embarrassing to the Trump folks that you hear this and you don't laugh at him. I'm not even saying that you agree with him, but like that's an insane thing to say. That doesn't make any fucking sense, and it's his actual defense, and you're like, yep, this is still our guy. Like, this is not an intelligent person. This isn't a person that can come up with a coherent excuse for anything that they did, and yet we still at the top of the ballot. You guys want to be upset about Joe Biden and why he's president? Like, look at Donald Trump. That's why Joe Biden is president. Because Donald Trump's an idiot. That's it.
That's fair.
Because I decided to do something that is very much for the good of the country and actually for the good of the world. A president shouldn't have that on his mind, and he has to have a free and clear mind when he makes very big decisions, or it's going to be nothing more than a ceremonial post. You'll be president, it'll be a wonderful thing, and you won't do anything because you don't want to be hit by your opponent or hit by somebody else, because who wants to leave office and go through what I've gone through?
Matt, I just want to point back again. Junior's like, wasn't that the best press conference you've ever heard? This man is just, it's Freudian. Like, if he's so worried about this because everything he has hinges on, number one, delaying time, which is going well for him. The time delay, I mean, everything he can do to delay time, they have accomplished. But the second thing is this presidential immunity, right? He just wants all of his crimes to be washed away. And he's so willing, and MAGA, you got to think about this because I know you don't want to hear this, but Trump won't be around forever. But let's say that for some reason, just in service, I know, and they don't want to hear that though. But in service of Donald Trump, this presidential immunity thing goes through. Then any president, right, including Democratic presidents, Joe Biden doesn't even need to leave office. Like if this presidential immunity thing goes through, he can't be in trouble for anything he ever does. And this is not good for our future.
Now, he's not the first president that was going to face legal action when he left the presidency, but he is the first president who didn't cut a deal on his way out, right? Bill Clinton cut a deal on his way out, said, take my law license. Pardon me and take my law license. We'll do that. Richard Nixon on the way out was like, hey, pardon me. Like, we'll take. That's why they weren't investigated. But they went away. The thing with Donald Trump is like, again, nothing he's being prosecuted outside of the election fraud stuff happened while he was president. Most of it happened pre or post presidency. But even that one, if he really, really wanted to get away with it, he could have cut a deal. The reason he's being prosecuted and he's the only one is because the other ones cut a deal. But there would have been other presidents who were prosecuted when they left. They just cut a deal. They understood. They didn't want to do that. They didn't want to be prosecuted. Trump chose this way. He chose to be prosecuted. He had to have known what was coming. Is what he chose. I'm glad he chose it. I'm glad that a former president is being
Me
held
too.
accountable. I wish Clinton and I wish Nixon would have been held accountable. I wish they wouldn't have cut a deal. So in a way, kudos to Trump. But like, that's why you're being prosecuted and you're the only one that has, is because you didn't cut a deal.
I also think it's important to point out, like, that's why we say, and you need to understand, what has happened to Trump is self-inflicted, right? Like, he could have cut a deal. Especially in the docs case, like, nobody is prosecuted. Trump is not in trouble for taking those documents, nor has anyone ever been. It's for not giving them back. It's for the obstruction after the fact. Every choice he made, not cutting a deal, continuing to say, he said it just yesterday, I can do whatever I want. You know what I mean? I'm the president. I can do anything I want. I don't have to explain myself. That's why he's in trouble. It's for not doing the right thing when he should have, or the smart thing. It's not the right thing. Clinton wasn't doing the right thing. He's just did
The right thing for him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. The right thing for him.
And then you have deranged Jack Smith, who's a Trump hater and represents all the Trump haters. And he's going wild.
Shout out
He's just
Jack
a wild
Smith.
man. He's been overturned unanimously by the Supreme Court. Went after other people over the years.
Pause.
He's a great
Pause.
failure.
Can you pause that?
But
Jack Smith didn't bring those charges. What's he talking about? Jack Smith didn't bring the Colorado hearing. What's the unanimous?
That's not what he's talking about.
What's he talking
Jack
about?
Smith once argued something in front of.
Oh, this is the
it's
old one,
completely
pre-Trump?
Years and
Oh, yeah.
years having nothing to do with Donald Trump. He just likes to say that. Like, and if you've passed the Supreme Court bar, which, by the way, you know who has passed the Supreme Court bar? Hunter Biden. A lot of
Shout out
cases are
Hunter.
decided. Oh, not like it's not. It just means you argued a case that the Supreme Court decided against you, and he said unanimously. That has nothing to do, when he says that about Jack Smith, with anything to do with what's going on now.
he's mean, he's nasty, he's unfair. And the judges on these cases, they're all Trump haters. Other than we have maybe one or two that I think can be fair. But you look at...
Yeah, it's...
By the way, I don't believe that decision has looked good going forward, right? Wasn't it John?
It was
not
the
Karen
case about the
Edwards.
guy who had the love child with Rael. Yeah, John Edwards. Yes, it's
Yeah.
that's the case that Jack Smith argued before the Supreme Court.
And he was trying to prosecute Edwards for financial campaign finance violations. I'm pretty sure, which I don't know. I think.
Yeah, it had to do with the camp. It had to. Yeah, he was basically funding his love child. Remember, Rael Hunter, his wife, John Edwards' wife, had cancer and was dying, and he had someone he had hired to do photojournalism on his campaign. Her name was Rael Hunter. She was a blonde woman, and she traveled with him anywhere. And then the National Enquirer, remember, broke this story that they had a love child and all this while his wife is still alive,
right,
battling cancer. So I think it was about campaign finance violations. Imagine the Supreme Court not
and it
agreeing that that's wrong.
And it really came
that's very
down
on brand.
It really came down to proving that Edwards directed it himself. That's really what it boiled down to. And it was a jury trial too. And then I assume it must have went to the Supreme Court. I don't know, but cool.
Yeah. It most importantly, it has nothing to do with what's going on now. It's what we need to remember.
The president has to be free. A president has
He said, the president has to be free. He's continuing, and you can hear him sniffing, which we'll go into this later, but the latest Rolling Stone article that exposes Ronnie Jackson for distributing these type of drugs, it explains basically what Trump, the Trump White House, what everyone was taking. Because it's not just Adderall. It's Provigil. It's what they give Air Force pilots whose brains are getting less oxygen. Yeah, and it increases oxygen flow in your brain, and that's what.
Yeah,
that's why
I gotta
this
give me
is
some
happening.
Provigil.
That's why that is happening all the time.
has to be free. A president has to be, if the president does a good job, I did. Some people would say a great job. But if the president does a good job, a president should be free and clear and frankly celebrated.
And frankly celebrated.
He wants a fucking.
Do you guys understand how weird this press conference is? Is anyone getting it now? He's literally standing there kind of swaying. Yeah, and I think like I need that immunity, and it needs to be free and fair and celebrated. Like he's just,
The argument
it's a
is,
super
if a
weird
president
press
does a
conference.
good job, and I'd argue a great job, then he should be above the law. And also, give me a fucking parade. How about a statue? That's really what he wants. And he said it earlier in this week. I love people who love me. I love to be loved. Like this guy literally is standing in a billionaire is standing in front of the American people, going, guys, I really don't fucking like consequences. I don't like consequences at all. And I've never really had any because I was born with a silver spoon, and I don't want to start having consequences now. So could we just forget all this stuff and focus on the good that I did, and maybe a small parade in my honor would be fine? Can we just do that? And the MAGA folks are like, yeah, exactly. Fucking drain the swamp. You know what I mean? Drain it. Drain the swamp. Celebrate these motherfuckers.
It's hilarious. So yeah, let's just listen to how weird this is. Don't interject. Let's let them hear this all the way through, because this is the weirdest clip. I'm just gonna start it again from the beginning because it's so weird.
President has to be free. A president has to be, if the president does a good job. I did.
I do.
Some people would say a great job. But if the president does a good job, a president should be free and clear and frankly celebrated for having done a good job. Not indicted 4 times and not gone after on a civil basis. And not demanded to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in fines.
I said I wasn't going to stop, but did you hear him go?
Like it was painful.
Yeah. Just making. Now he's just resorts to making weird noises. Like I don't even.
Basis, and not demanded to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in fines on something that was absolutely perfect, where there were no victims, where the financial statements were absolutely flawless, where you have disclaimer clauses. I mean, nobody's ever.
Other than that fraud.
Other than the time I tripled the size of my apartment
big fraud
and increased the value by like 30x on a triplex. Yeah. Other than that and all the other shit, it was perfect. Yeah, all right.
Wait, what is? Oh yeah, Rubu Dudakawa. What did he say yesterday? Remember the sound he made yesterday? I wish I need to go find that.
Somebody
clip
had written it down exactly. Yeah, we need to get that. Clip.
It was hilarious.
Yeah. Flawless, where you have disclaimer clauses. I mean, nobody's ever had a thing like this. I wasn't given a jury, and I had a clubhouse judge just come up with this number.
Just come up with this number on a perfect loan.
Financial statements, but even at that. If you look, the disclaimer says don't rely on the financial statements in any way, shape, or form.
It says we're lying.
Do your own work.
He's like, it's the weirdest thing. Like, I did a fraud, but they didn't catch me doing a fraud. So why am I in trouble? Like, just because you tried to defraud someone and that person didn't realize they were being defrauded doesn't mean that the government can't then prosecute you for it.
Yeah, listen, I put a disclaimer saying I might fraud you. And then I frauded you, and now you didn't even get mad that I frauded you, but the government's mad now that I'm breaking the law. What did he call the judge? A clubhouse judge?
A clubhouse judge. Yeah,
this is
like this 1 minute and 2 second clip is probably one of my favorite Trump clips of all time because it just shows like he's out of his mind.
Such a whiny little bitch, and like his ability to look at something, in the most generous, impossible way is actually a little bit, it's kind of an endearing quality for him when he says something like, my financial statements were perfect. You lost the case on basically just on that. That was the whole thing. And you admitted that they weren't perfect. Your CFO admitted they weren't perfect. Your attorney, your children, the banks. There wasn't a single person who testified that those financial statements were perfect. Not one, including Donald Trump. And yet here he stands like it was fucking perfect. And
he's like a perfect loan, a perfect document.
What world does he live in?
Not this one. That's like Nicole Wallace on Deadline White House calls it Earth 1 and Earth 2. Like she says that we're all living on Earth 1 and MAGA's living on Earth 2.
Big step toward unification.
Oh, sorry. Did you say something?
No, I didn't know the quote was still going. Keep going.
Oh no, I was starting a new one. So
okay, yeah. Just a couple comments from Jack Tickle. I'm gonna use the last name because I doubt that's your real last name. If it is, I'm sorry for doxing you, but your last name is wonderful. People find it shocking. People find it shocking when they find out I am a bad electrician.
Wait, I just got it.
There we go. You have to
People find
remember,
it shocking.
Jack Tickles are all jokes. This is Jack again. Do you know why I don't trust trees?
Why?
They're just too shady.
That's a good one. They're just too shady.
And last one. A guy walked into a bar. He was disqualified from the
Ouch.
limbo contest.
That's true.
Well
That's
done,
the
Jack.
rule. Them's the rules.
Hey!
Thank you, Jack Tickle. That's funny.
That tickled me, Jack. Thank you for the morning
Unification.
tickle. Usually I have to pay extra for that.
A big step toward unification. I hope that the justices, because they'll be working on some other cases, but one in particular, presidents have to be given total immunity. They have to be allowed
So he's back.
to do their job. If they're not allowed to do their job, it's not what the founders wanted, but perhaps even more importantly, it will be terrible for our country. Thank you all very much.
So he ends up like right back where he started, rambling on. Let's see. I want to play this one quick because then he takes some questions, but it just continues. Like there's a lot of rambling, but listen, I want to see if you can hear this one because this Trump's at Mar-a-Lago. Like these questions are plants. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He had specific people just standing there, like, and already clearly knew the questions. Listen to this.
Good point there by Blasphemous. That's right. The founders wanted unchecked kings of our own. That's exactly, if I remember specifically, when the founding fathers were drafting the Constitution, they're like, you know, we got to make sure that the president is allowed to commit any and all crimes, all of them. We got to be able to, and they're like, that's perfect. That's exactly what we were escaping, but we changed our mind. That's exactly what we want.
Exactly.
Mr. President, the poll numbers are massive for you going into Super Tuesday. We found a lot of people that were agnostic to politics in general.
He said the poll numbers are massive for you going into Super Tuesday. We found that a lot of people that are agnostic to you in general.
See these legal cases.
Or agnostic to
against you,
politics.
see how life was.
Yeah, basically saying, see these legal cases. Like, this is a plant question. Trump told him to ask his PR team asked him this. He's basically asking him, like, hey, people, like, all of your cases are only making you stronger type of thing. Do you want to tell us how you feel about the fact that all of your crimes are only making people like you more? Is basically the question.
Under a Trump administration. Do you think that's the key to pull some of these independent voters into this next election, seeing that the legal cases are unfair, they have no merit, and also the poll numbers, and they're likable for Trump?
It's such an interesting question because historically, a thing like what
It's such an interesting question
Yeah.
that I definitely didn't tell you to ask.
Yeah. I
was completely ready for it.
can't believe you asked such an interesting question.
I'm going through would have hurt a political party or a political candidate terrifically. You wouldn't even run. You wouldn't be able to run. You'd get out. This has happened over many years, many times. In this case, the polls show that I'm much more popular than I was before weaponization. It's been weaponized like it's never been. This is for third world countries. This isn't for us.
This is for third world countries. The man that admires third world countries.
First of all, I don't know when they started, but like his unfavorables and favorable, like they're remaining roughly the same. Like there's no real swing here. Like he's between 40 and 43%, which is where he's been. That's wild.
I think he just means like in the past, if someone had been indicted 4 times, they'd be forced out of the election, or the Republican Party, rather than doing a coup and tearing the Republican Party apart. Like they would have, bowed out gracefully and taken accountability for their crimes.
And what would be sad is if that's true. Let's just say like there's some evidence to show there's an uptick in his favorability. Like I'm not going to lie about that. Like the baseline is like 1.5% to 2% higher than at other times. Since it's more sad than anything. It's more sad that people are looking at these cases against him, not looking at the evidence, and just believing that like people are jaded by our federal government. That's the people in Congress. That's the executive branch. That's their fault. They've created this perception of them that they don't care about the American people, that they will hide things from the American people, and that they have their own agenda. That's their own fault. They should have been better. But what's sad is seeing that the most corrupt out of all of them is the one that the general public just believes, because they don't believe that somebody could be justly attacked by our government or justly investigated by our government. That's where we've gotten to. So facts be damned. It doesn't matter what the facts are in this case, and that's why Donald Trump has to rely on polling, because the facts don't back him up. But that is sad. That's a sad state of affairs for our country, that people are finding him more favorable, despite the fact that he's lost every case and he has no real defense. His defense is the president should be able to do anything. And even with a nonsense defense like that, the American people are ignoring his defense. They're not even buying into that defense. They're buying into this idea that our Justice Department is weaponized, and anybody who the Justice Department goes after must be the good guy. That's the saddest part about all of this, is that he's taken a sentiment that is broadly felt across the spectrum, and he's bastardized it and stolen it and said, like, oh, well, they're the corrupt ones, not me. That's the saddest part about all of this.
Well, it's also like, just not to point out the fact that like none of the logic makes sense, though. It's also like the DOJ is corrupt. Like that's the story they're telling. The weaponization, the DOJ is being weaponized. It's corrupt unless a judge finds in Trump's favor. Then immediately it's no longer corrupt, and the justice system has made a perfect decision and done the right thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you cannot have it both ways. It can't be corrupt until if Trump wins. You know what I'm saying? It's like what we're seeing in the primaries. Like, Trump's winning, so all of a sudden the elections are not rigged.
Yeah,
if he did start losing, then we'd have to go back to the elections being rigged.
You compare the two, and let's not pretend that the DOJ wasn't also weaponized to go after Joe Biden. That's what's crazy about this, is like the DOJ has investigated both families and is continuing to investigate both families, and one family keeps coming off looking clean. But again, people have been so conditioned to not trust whoever's in the government right then that they're assuming, oh, well, Joe Biden must be the dirty one and Trump must be the clean one, despite, again, the evidence doesn't line up that way. And that's what sucks. That's what our Congress has become. That's what people think of our government, is that whatever our government does, the opposite must be the right thing.
Yeah, it's quite disturbing. I want to play this clip, but I don't think it's appropriate. So I actually want to play these clips. I want to skip to clip like 7 on the clips. Like, it's something Trump called in to Fox and Friends this morning. And I just want to play some of these clips because it's disturbing. So what's his name? It's Jonathan something. Let me see if I wrote it down. Oh, Lawrence Jones and Brian Kilmeade. So that's who it is. And I just need you to know. So Trump calls in, like, his face isn't there. It's just his voice, and just starts saying like rambling and saying the same outrageous stuff. And their faces, like Brian Kilmeade cannot stand Trump. You know what I mean? And like, he wants to be able to. He really wants to try, but he cannot. And they can't listen to what he just calls in and goes right into
quick,
this.
While you play this, I'm taking I've had some stomach issues this morning, so I'm going to need like a second, but I'm taking my phone, so I'm going to be listening. So I'll be back in a sec.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, bye. Guys, tap the screen. Let's get to 150K.
Just do things like this. They're coming in from jails and prisons and mental institutions and insane asylums. They're terrorists. I mean, you have terrorists pouring in at a level that we have not seen, maybe ever. And what they're doing to our country is incredible. They're poisoning our country. And we're going to close up our border, and we're going to deport the people. We're going to get them out, because no country can sustain what we're going through right now.
These two men's faces while Trump is saying this, I mean, if they could look more miserable, more like they don't want to be anywhere. Like, he calls in, it's Super Tuesday, instead of saying something about the vote, still is making up lies. Yesterday, I heard a clip where he actually said whole prisons from the Congo have been picked up and dropped at our southern border, and they're all inside. None of this stuff is true. People have tried to fact check over and over anything he says about people coming from prisons or insane asylums in South America, in Africa. None of these lies are true. Let's move on to the next ridiculous statement. So again, this is him calling in this morning to Fox and Friends.
About your policies for a second. As you know, this president of the United States, when it comes to Israel, is getting protested. Now he seems to be turning on Israel. But the non-committed vote that Biden's getting, they're not going to like you either because you are firmly in Israel's camp, correct? Are you on board with the way the IDF is taking the fight in Gaza?
You've got to finish the problem. You had a horrible invasion that took place that would have never happened if I was president, by the way. As you know, Iran...
So you just heard him. He endorses Netanyahu. He doesn't want a ceasefire. And we'll get into that more. Like, that will become more obvious. But, like, for all of the argument, like, oh, no one likes how Biden's handling Israel, like, that's because we want a ceasefire and we don't want any more children to be murdered. Trump is basically saying that Biden's not tough enough on Israel. Please understand that. And that's why I want to make clear, like, people who are saying like the not committed vote is a vote for Trump. It's not. The leaders of that not committed campaign do not endorse Trump. Trump is somebody who wants to ban immigration from Islamic countries. So this is in no way like Trump is worse, right? If you have a problem with war, the answer is not then Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a warmonger. He has made that clear. He wants to finish the job. Like that's a term Netanyahu keeps saying as well. Like Netanyahu said from the beginning, the job's not done until they essentially exterminate these people. Like, this is wild.
Yeah, Donald Trump, bringing Donald Trump in as when you don't want war and then putting in Donald Trump is like you're tired of lighting. Well, I have a smoking issue sometimes, and sometimes it gets down to the end. You get to the nubs, but unfortunately, I have a torch, and so sometimes, like, I use a torch to light it, and so sometimes I have to go get a match. But Donald Trump is the torch. More importantly, I want everybody here to know that I went to get a banana. My stomach is queasy because of the medication that I'm on, and there was no food in my stomach, and I want that to be clear based on my DMs and the comments in here that I just went to go get this banana. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, police.
They had no money for Hamas, for Hezbollah. They were broke. This would have never happened. And for another reason, they wouldn't have done it to me. I guarantee you that. They did this because they have no respect for Biden, and frankly, they got soft. And what happened here is incredible. That should never have happened. Likewise.
So again, this man endorses what Netanyahu's doing, and his exact quote was, "He needs to finish the job." Like, that's the most disturbing thing I think I heard this morning.
Yeah,
I think you have a much.
Now this continues. Like, I think just continues more of that.
It's really the people that surround him. It's the fascists and the communists that surround him. They're making the calls. They're calling the shots. He's not calling the shots.
Mr. President, what did you feel about Kamala Harris calling for a ceasefire in Gaza? Is that something that you support? Is that something that is totally off the table right now for you?
Look, I hate seeing what's happening. Again, it would have never happened.
So he refuses to answer the question, but he does answer it previously, saying he'd finish the job. He does not want a ceasefire. Like, that's for anyone else who's confused about that, because you do hear on lives MAGA making that argument. No new wars under Trump. This is a warmonger who's saying women, children, 50% of people are children inside of Gaza, inside Palestine, and he wants to finish the job. That's where we're at right now. Right. He's not interested in a ceasefire.
Right. And
back on Israel.
And everything was perfect between Israel and Palestine when he left office, in case anybody's confused on that. But he's saying there, like, he had fixed everything, and it's only because he wasn't in office that now we have problems in Israel and Palestine. I also want to point out that who he thinks is controlling Joe Biden is the communists and the fascists, who historically have gone to war with each other. That's a very
Well, they don't exist on the same side of the ideological spectrum. So that's an oxymoron. You can't have both of them because they're on opposite sides of the political spectrum. But that would require reading or an understanding of politics to know that. Like, it's an example of Trump just hearing words. Like, communist means like that. You hear Republicans do it all the time. They think it means like a dictator, an authoritarian dictator. Like, you can't be a fascist and a communist.
Yeah, and again, if you're in here, you don't agree with this, you think that Donald Trump did promote peace, please come up. Let's talk about it. You don't have to stay in the comments. We're happy to talk to any of you guys about it.
A counterattack, which is what it is, would never have happened if I was president, and you know that, Lawrence. This would have never happened, and it's so horrible to watch it, because if things went right in 2020, which they should have, but they didn't for some very bad and sinister reasons. All these people that are dead in Ukraine and Russia and Israel and all these people that are dead, all these areas that are destroyed, people would be leading great lives right now. All of these dead people, much more importantly than the physical, but cities that are just totally wiped out all over the place. We're going to end up in World War III. This is the worst president in history. He makes Jimmy Carter look phenomenal. Makes Jimmy Carter look...
Jimmy Carter was phenomenal. Actually, first of all.
He absolutely was a phenomenal president. But I mean, like, the point, Donald Trump said there wouldn't be war because why? You would have allowed an authoritarian dictator to walk into a sovereign country and take it over?
Yeah, and
is that what you're saying?
Where are we even near on the verge of World War III? We haven't had to put troops on the ground in Ukraine. We haven't had to put troops on the ground in Israel. These are two wars that are consolidated into one country. Like each, they have not expanded outside of their own countries. You have one in Ukraine, you have one in Israel. This is not how world wars get started. This is not the projection for a World War III. Again, it's all fear tactics. And one thing Donald Trump figured out, or probably didn't figure out, but he's such an egomaniac, that he realized that American people are hopeful, and American people want to believe that the people that they're voting for are like the greatest people ever. And so Donald Trump plays to that. That's why he says things like, "Oh, there would just be no wars under me." Of course, there's no argument for that. Like, of course, there's no argument.
We know because he passed a law, so he didn't have to admit to the American public how many people he was killing with drones. Like, that's why there's it's people are still dying if you cover it up. Is the point, is what we need to remember about Donald Trump, or him acting like, I don't know why all these Venezuelans are here at the southern border. Oh wait, it's because in 2020 I did a coup. I destabilized that country. That's why specifically the most people are at the southern border from Venezuela, because of what I did to destabilize and cause war in Venezuela. Like, these are the facts that he leaves out about the situations.
Being blessed, as all of us are, that we were, or those of us that were born in this country and live in this country, like, it's easy to be arrogant. It's easy not to recognize the privilege that we have of living in this country. And when you do live in this country, and our country is a world power, I think Americans a lot of times think, oh, it's us. We did this. Like, we're just so much smarter than everybody. This is how we became a superpower. We're smarter. And what it does is it creates apathy. And it means that people, generally speaking, think about most of the people you know. If you asked them to delve into any one of these topics, anything about Israel and Palestine, anything about Ukraine, anything about how our government operates, how our monetary system works, any of those questions, they could not tell you in any detail whatsoever how these things work or what's happening. But what they can tell you is that everybody in the government is dumb, everybody in the government is corrupt, and all the solutions are common sense and they're simple. It's an arrogance of apathy that our country has, and that's what allows a person like Donald Trump to take hold of a political party like the GOP and be so popular, because what he does is he speaks simply, but he's not saying anything. and he's not right about these things. However, to be a Donald Trump supporter requires no new information. It requires no research. You just have to believe that if Donald Trump gets his way, things will be better. And when things aren't better, it's because Donald Trump didn't get his way. Like, this only works in countries that are apathetic and who are lazy. And that's us. We're apathetic and we're lazy. And Donald Trump took advantage of that and continues to take advantage of that, so that people who know nothing can stand confidently in front of microphones, in front of friends, in front of families, and speak confidently about things that they know nothing about.
Oh, I want to just play this clip now. This is just an example of, I mean, and I don't know like what is being said by RNC members who actually have a vote, but the vote is coming up for replacing Ronna McDaniel for RNC chair. And listen to, because Lara Trump, like a week ago, the rhetoric was, I am the best person. I'm uniquely positioned to get Trump elected. Like, we're going to focus all our resources on Donald Trump. Now, listen to what she was saying today.
I can assure you there will be no funny business. Anyone who is not on board with seeing Donald Trump as the 47th president and America-loving patriots all the way down the ticket being supported by the RNC is welcome to leave, because we are not playing games and we have no time to waste. So we have to ensure that every single penny of every dollar donated goes to the causes people care about. That's part of the reason that I think I'm such a great fit for this. There's no one more loyal to Donald Trump and the Make America Great Again movement than this.
But did you hear her say all the way down the ticket?
Yes.
At the beginning?
But
that's so like now they've had to change the rhetoric because of Trump. I mean, whether or not they actually fund those races will remain to be seen.
But what did she say?
Changed the rhetoric.
What did she say made her uniquely qualified? Loyalty to one person. This is a person that wants to run the party, right? They should be loyal to the party. If you're going to brag about loyalty, you can say, I'm loyal to the Republican Party. I'll always do what's best for the Republican Party. I'll always do what's best for Republican voters. But no, not in MAGA world. What makes you, in her words, I am uniquely qualified because I am loyal to Donald Trump. That's a fucking cult, my friends. That is a cult. I sat in sacrament meeting over and over and pledged my loyalty to Joseph Smith and Gordon B. Hinckley and Thomas S. Smonson and all these Mormon prophets. I pledged my loyalty to them all the time. It's what you do. It's how you show your worth. That's how I showed my worth in my cult. Whoever was most loyal, whoever could stand up in front of a microphone and defend, that's who wins in MAGA world. Those who are most loyal. Think about this in my debate tomorrow night with Maude. The people that will be cheering on Maude are going to be the people who want to hear Maude be loyal to Donald Trump. This debate, no matter what things we debate on, topics we're debating on, and we're discussing those right now, the overwhelming majority of people that show up to view Maude on the MAGA side want one thing and one thing only. They want a defense of Donald Trump. They want total loyalty. They want Maude to concede 0 points about Donald Trump. And I will say this, if I can get Maude to concede some points, people on the MAGA side will be upset with her. They will turn on her. The second she conceded a single point, if she does, I'm going to do my best. They will turn on her immediately. This is a cult. 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow.
What? I'm trying to remember what. Okay. Yeah. So listen to this quote. This is a good one. This is some internalized misogyny. If anyone's looking for an example of internalized misogyny, here we go.
Nobody's ever seen anything like this.
Oh, wait. Sorry. I just played the wrong clip.
NBC just reported that Michelle Obama has said she will not run for president.
Thank God. Yes.
Yeah, thank God for
I would love
Republicans.
the reaction from a woman in the crowd. And
I wouldn't vote for a woman, and especially, Nikki Haley. I'm just going to say this. She's probably menopausal. We don't need that.
hey, she said, how about we vote for people regardless of their gender, just the right person for the job for America. NBC.
So let's just play that again and listen to all the internalized misogyny. Like, internalized misogyny is when, like, women prop up the patriarchy and are hateful towards other women.
NBC just reported that Michelle Obama has said she will not run for president.
Thank God. Yes.
Haley said, I would love the reaction from a woman in the crowd. And
I wouldn't vote for a woman, and especially, Nikki Haley, I'm just going to say this. She's probably menopausal. We don't need that.
she said, how about we vote for people regardless of their gender, just the right person for the job for America?
Do you hear her? So after that, when he says, how about we vote for the person regardless of their gender who's best for America? And you just hear her go, like, she's so turned off by the idea that we would vote for somebody just based on like their ideas and what's best for America. No, because there might be a woman. That is one of the saddest clips I think I've heard in a long time, for this poor woman to just be like, who's not qualified? People like me. We're too emotional. It's got to be a man. That's devastating. That's a real devastating way to live life.
Guys, tap the screen. Let's get to 165K. We're almost there. Also, again, if there's any Republicans in here, it's Super Tuesday. We want to hear who you're voting for and why.
Checking comments real quick.
Now I'm going to play. So I was going to play this earlier, but I did not. This is a clip. This is Rachel Maddow was talking about Mark Robinson. So again, this is the lieutenant governor of North Carolina that we were talking about yesterday. Mark Robinson, who has said, anyone you can attack, he has attacked, and is probably the most vilely offensive person currently in the Republican Party.
Here is the serving Republican Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina on that movie, on Black Panther. He says it is, quote, created by an agnostic Jew and put to film by a satanic Marxist. He calls it, quote, this trash that was only created to pull the shekels out of your Schwarze pockets. Ladies and gentlemen, the Republican Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina. Tomorrow on Super Tuesday, he's actually going to be running in the North Carolina primary to try to become his party's nominee for governor of the great state of North Carolina. Here he is calling survivors of school gun massacres, quote, media prostitutes, as in prostitutes, but prostitutes. He calls them spoiled little bastards who need to shut up. Again, this is for kids who lived through a school shooting that killed 17 of their classmates. They need to shut up. He calls public school teachers, quote, wicked people. And not for nothing, he says this about the Holocaust. He says, quote, Hitler disarming millions of Jews and then marching them off to concentration camps is a bunch of hogwash.
This is going to be the Republican candidate for governor in North Carolina. Trump's main man. This is the man that at his North Carolina speech on Saturday, Trump said is Martin Luther King Jr. on steroids. This is who the Republican Party is. Please understand the amount of hate.
Yeah, it's important to point out that there was a marked change between, and all Republicans would acknowledge that there is a big change between the Republican Party that was led by previously.
I just have to pee really quick.
Go for it. Previously by Mitt Romney and John McCain. There was a change, and there was a change in rhetoric, and I recognize for the MAGA folks that you guys that like Donald Trump, even though we disagree on who Donald Trump is and what he says, and I think that you guys cherry pick what he says. I just want to point out that these people saying things like this just 7 or 8 years ago would have been ostracized from the party. They would not have been given a platform. They wouldn't have been given a platform on a local level in a caucus. They would be run out of every caucus because everybody knew that this stuff wasn't okay. But Donald Trump changed everything. I don't remember which, it was a debate that I watched, and somebody probably knows who it is, but there was a debate where somebody said Donald, oh, actually I know what it was. It was from the James O'Brien. He said Donald Trump makes it okay to be racist again. And that was he had a bunch of Trump supporters call in very upset about this, that like it was somehow Donald Trump's fault. Well, Donald Trump is the thing that has changed. He's replaced the Republican Party as like it's the party of Donald Trump. If you don't believe me, just we can go back and play that clip of Lara Trump saying that I'm uniquely qualified because I am loyal to Donald Trump. What he did is he made it possible for racists to be mainstream and for people to he has convinced people to overlook racism, to overlook bigotry, because for the greater good of MAGA, for the greater good of Donald Trump. It's okay if you guys, if you vote for and put into office a racist, a misogynist, a bigot, an open one, right? An anti-Semite. It's okay as long as that person pledges their loyalty to Donald Trump. And when you're asking for a loyalty pledge, what kind of people are you going to get? Are you going to get principled, intelligent, free thinkers? Absolutely fucking not. You're going to get scum. You're going to get people who don't think for themselves and who don't think before they speak. They rely wholly on their feelings. And that's who has risen to the top of the Republican Party. Don't believe me? How's Marjorie Taylor Greene doing? How's Lauren Boebert doing? How's Matt Gaetz doing? Like, look at the top of the Republican Party under MAGA. Who is it? It's sycophants. It's loyalists. And those loyalists, Stephen Miller, an unabashed, open white nationalist, as the president's right-hand man. They invite Nick Fuentes to Mar-a-Lago. Don't worry. We'll just bring schmotzies to Mar-a-Lago. We'll have dinner together. Like that's who this party is, because again, at the end of the day, all that matters is, are you loyal to Donald Trump or are you not? You are? Great. Say whatever the fuck you want. Be racist, be bigoted, go after the LGBTQ community, but at the end of the day, pledge your loyalty to Donald Trump. That's all that matters. And Trump, that's who Trump has to pick from, because people who think for themselves, people who are educated, they would never follow that moron. So he's literally going for people who don't think for themselves, who are angry, who are bitter, who are bigoted, and have been pushed into the corners of society because of their bigotry. And Trump's like, yeah, come on out. You're on our team now.
Do you want to hear Jake Tapper say erection?
That would be a dream. If I hear it, I might have to take a minute to myself.
Okay. No, I'm sorry. I just want to cheer you up.
Best segue
Sorry.
I've ever heard.
No,
that's the best segue
guys,
ever.
I'm not diggy. I'm not like, that's important what we're talking about. So, sometimes the Mark Robinson stuff makes me sick. Like, I just want to make everyone laugh really quick because it's so gross. Yes, that's right, people. Yesterday, so it's actually really funny. Yesterday, it's funny because it's Jake Tapper, but yet Jake Tapper was doing an interview with Nikki Haley, and he was trying to, I believe, say insurrection and just says erection, but Nikki's Haley's face, like, she's like trying to not laugh. Well, he is like, I'm exhausted, which I totally get it. I get up really early. Like, he's like, I just got up early and I accidentally said, oh,
are we sure she's holding in a laugh, or is that just, she's just going through menopause? Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The internalized misogyny. This is exactly like, we're trying to fight for the rights of people with uteruses, the rights of women, as our rights are being taken away. And we have to battle not just against, misogynistic men, but against women with internalized misogyny. If we can't even stand up for ourselves, we have women making comments like, I'd never vote for a woman. She's probably in menopause. Like, just at this point, the most emotional people, the reason that men are violent is because they can't regulate their emotions like women can, right? They're insecure, and then they can't regulate their emotions. It turns into violence and anger. Like, to pretend that women going through menopause, or women, whatever, our uterine lining sloughing off every 30 days makes us unqualified to be president.
That's right.
Is the biggest crock of I've ever heard in my life. Sorry.
That's it's
but
like
I
a real.
digress.
Do you remember that there was a clip from before? I think it was.
Yes, and during Women's History Month. Thank you for whoever pointed that out.
Yeah, it's important for Republicans during Women's History Month to remind you: 1, you have a uterus; 2, that uterus is disqualifying; and 3, you don't get to decide what to do with that uterus. It's just important to, and fair enough, that is the history of how women have been treated in this country, and Republicans want to remind you of that this Women's History Month, that you guys have come too far. Okay, let's get back to the men running the show, please.
And now we will listen to Jake Tapper accidentally say erection on primetime television.
Square. I don't need them taking him off the ballot to do it. I think we're trying to share enough that this is chaos, that we want to get back to an America that's normal, and that we need a new generational leader. And that's the way we're going to continue pushing forward.
Right. The Colorado Supreme Court, of course, wasn't saying, however partisan people might have thought the decision was. Their official explanation was not they didn't like Donald Trump. They said he participated in an erection. And I have to, an insurrection. And I have to say, I got up at 5 this morning to do Casey Hunt's show, and I'm exhausted. So when Trump was impeached.
Isn't it even more funny that he said, I got up this morning at 5 a.m.? Get it?
I knew it was coming and it still got me.
I'm sorry. It is funny, especially because it's Jake Tapper and he handled it so well. He's just like, I got up this morning at 5 a.m. Hilarious.
And that's when he handled it so well at 5.
That's
5 a.m.
That's exactly the point I was trying to make. It's the gift that just keeps on giving. Sometimes we gotta laugh. You know what we didn't talk about, speaking of Nikki Haley? Because it's probably like her last couple days in the election, or we'll see. That's one of the things to watch for from Super Tuesday is I was reading in a Washington Post article that her camp, they're not projecting or like Trump always over projects and then never does as well. They're not projecting to win any of the primaries. They want to get like 40% of the vote or something in the major ones, I believe. But, she was saying for Kristen Welker, who's gone full MAGA. I don't know what Kristen Welker has lost her mind. But she was saying that that loyalty pledge that she had to sign for the RNC, Nikki Haley, like Kristen Welker was asking her about it. Yeah, Jay knew it was coming. That's funny.
You see the next one?
No, I didn't see it. Asking the hard question. We could go on and on. I know. The more I thought about this when I heard it yesterday, the more I was like, this whole thing is hilarious. Tapper, his own name makes it funny. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many reasons that was hilarious. We could yeah, exactly. We could just make jokes about it forever. But I think that for all intents and purposes, and this is a good lesson for Nikki Haley, I do think that this election and what she's experienced, this primary has changed her. Like, it sounds like she is saying over and over again on Sunday on Meet the Press that she doesn't have to follow the loyalty pledge because she's like, the RNC is different. Like, she was kind of saying, I think she was implying, I signed it for Ronna Romney.
Yeah.
McDaniel, who did everything she could for Trump and still got pushed out. And so now she doesn't have to.
Imagine signing a loyalty pledge to the Republican Party when the head of the Republican Party is pledging their loyalty to Donald Trump. Like, of course you wouldn't adhere to that. Of course you wouldn't adhere to a pledge to your opponent, right? Like, why would you pledge your allegiance to your opponent? You automatically lose, right? Even if you win, and they're like, hey, I want to win instead, you'd have to lose. It's a ridiculous ask.
You did sign a pledge, an RNC pledge, to support the eventual nominee. Do you still feel bound by that pledge?
I have always said that I have serious concerns about Donald Trump. I have even more concerns about Joe Biden.
So is that a no? Are you bound by the RNC pledge?
The RNC pledge, I mean, at the time of the debate, we had to take it to where would you support the nominee? And you had to, in order to get on that debate stage, you said yes. The RNC is now not the same RNC. Now it's
so you're no longer bound by that pledge.
No, I think I'll make what decision I want to make, but that's not something I'm thinking about. And I think that while
this is not the Nikki Haley of 3 months ago. Do you know what I mean? Like, this has, like I said, like sometimes you have to experience something firsthand before you get the point. Like, this has changed her.
Yeah, and I think she's still going to capitulate and eventually endorse Donald Trump. But it's interesting to me with Nikki Haley when she says, look, first she tries to dodge the question by saying, I've said all along I have concerns about Donald Trump, but more about Joe Biden. Well, I'd like to ask Nikki questions because I've heard Nikki speak, and I think she's full of shit when she says that. Because I've heard her criticize Joe Biden, and what she largely does with Joe Biden is criticize his age. Trump 2 years younger, but I've heard her say Donald Trump is unfit for office. He's unfit to lead our military. He's a liar. He's a con man. Like, the actual things that she said about Trump are far worse than saying Biden is old. I think she's lying when she says that. I don't actually think she's more worried about Joe Biden than Donald Trump. I think she knows she has to toe that line in order to keep her spot in the GOP. She recognizes that if she said she was more worried about Joe Biden than Donald Trump, then she would lose support.
Well, it's also, she's making like what we see people on here do, like the on lives, the both sides argument.
Yeah.
Like she's allowed to criticize Trump because she also, you know what I mean? Because she gets covered by also criticizing Biden as
Right.
well. But like, yeah, it gets worse. You could just tell she is so disgusted by Trump now.
Y'all think about that. I'm looking at the fact that we had thousands of people in Virginia. We're headed to North Carolina. We're going to continue to go to Vermont and Maine and all these states to go and show people that there is a path forward. And so I don't look at what ifs. I look at how do we continue the conversation. You know, it's interesting. Chris Christie said, he was asked why he didn't endorse you when he dropped out. He said because he thought you would endorse Donald Trump. But it sounds like what you're...
and remember that? Do you guys remember when Chris Christie, right before, it was the day he dropped out of the primary, and he was caught on a hot mic basically saying like he wouldn't vote for Nikki Haley because she can't do it. And when he was questioned about like getting caught on the hot mic, his response to that was, yeah, like basically she's just another Trump sycophant. And that's what like, think about like, Jay, the first Republican primary debate we watched and how much
like
she was in his camp.
Yeah.
It seem like a lifetime ago. God, it was only like 2 or 3 months, but she was so in his camp, and now you could tell she's been through she's in the trenches now, and she sees it. Like, time has marched on.
I think she has changed. I think her personal opinion has changed, but I don't think she's willing to throw away her political career, and I think she'd be afraid if she doesn't endorse Trump that she's going to lose her political career. I hope this is one of those times where I still think she's going to endorse Trump, but I would be thrilled to be wrong about this. This would be a good one to be wrong about. And I'll own that happily. I hope she doesn't endorse it. I mean, I need to read a couple comments real quick that have been waiting. Sorry. First of all,
Tap the screen, guys.
First of all, Jack, thank you so much for all the donations today and the laughs. We've got another joke
more
here.
jokes.
Why did the Scarecrow win an award? I know this one.
What is it?
Because he was outstanding in his field.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's great. And then
standing in his field.
For you, we've got a F. Mary Banish, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pratt. Finally, one that's not gross.
Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt went crazy though. Do you know that, right? Like he was married to the girl from the Scary Movie franchise. Isn't that
Are they
Chris
not married
Pratt,
anymore?
right? No, they got divorced, and then he married someone in like the Schwarzenegger family. He went Republican or something. I believe I read something.
I knew
about
he was.
this.
I knew he was kind of MAGA. I knew that.
Banish Chris Pratt. And then
all right, sorry, Chris.
Give me someone. Is Chris Evans Superman? Is that who it is?
Isn't he Captain America?
Anna Faris. Yes, that's who I was talking about. Wait, Captain America. Well, I just need to look up. Why am I acting
Captain
like I'm
America.
not sitting in front of a computer?
Oh, that's right. He was married to Anna Faris. I forgot that I didn't realize that his current wife was a Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, Chris Evans and who is the other one?
Chris Hemsworth.
And Liam Hemsworth was Miley Cyrus's. Oh, this is
correct.
Hard. Is there anything I don't know about Chris Evans or Chris Hemsworth that could change my mind about these? I
would say Chris Evans has no discernible personality. So I think that matters.
Okay, then there you have it. Then I'll just do one night with Chris Evans and I'm going to marry the Hemsworth. I always have a good impression of the Hemsworth brothers. I don't know if that's real or that's just something I have in my head.
Yeah, imagine getting Thor's hammer just every day. That would be terrific.
Just ask Jake Tapper. Yeah. He'll tell you all about it.
Don't ask him. Let me make sure I got them all. Let me check the Cash App real quick. Okay,
so the Hemsworth brothers, yeah,
again,
they are hot.
Thank you, Jack. You've been very generous since we started doing this. Appreciate it.
I don't know why I was just thinking about superhero movies, but just side note, I need to see Dune too. And when I was doing research for this show, this is slightly related. I read a story yesterday about how it was like their dying wish to see, because they were literally going to die in days, like before the Dune 2 movie came out. And the director sent his laptop to the guy.
Really?
With with like the final cut, so he could watch it.
Can you explain I don't know what Dune is. I never saw Dune. What is it?
It's basically a metaphor for the Middle East, but it's about I almost said aliens. Like it's like space Game of Thrones, right? And it's about But I mean, we could look up
and it came out in 2021. It's got that cute kid and his cute girlfriend. What are their names?
Yeah, Zendaya and what is his name? Tim or?
Wait, is that Timothy Chalamet?
Chalamet.
That's not his girl. That's not who's dating Zendaya. Spider-Man guys dating Zendaya. They just looked similar on the thing, but that's Timothy Chalamet. Never mind.
But
it's
I
not
think
the
they
cute
did
couple.
date it.
It's Tom Holland.
Yeah, Tom Holland. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I never saw it, so I should watch Dune, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then I should see Dune too.
Absolutely.
My knee-jerk reaction to anything that looks remotely sci-fi, I don't watch. I always feel like I'm not going to get it, and I don't want to. I think I was scarred by Avatar. I really, really hated Avatar. I thought it was the dumbest. And ever since then, I've been really against sci-fi type movies. I know that's an unpopular opinion. I thought Avatar was horrific.
Yeah, and if you like Dune, because it sounds like people in the comments do, if you guys have, or I would suggest, if you want a really good series to watch, on Apple TV Plus or whatever, Foundation is such a good show. If you like Dune, watch Foundation. It will change your life. Like season 2 is out and season 3 is coming out. It's so good.
Well, I should have paid more attention to Dune. I'm looking at the cast. The cast is amazing.
It's so good. I can't believe you don't. Yeah, Dune is a fabulous movie. Foundation. Yeah, Foundation is probably one of my favorite shows of all time.
All right, I'll watch it.
Yeah, sci-fi. What's his name? Day, Dawn, and Dusk. Like those three. God, such good characters. There's so many good characters. Don't get me started. We could spend a whole. Oh, the books. I know, and I'm always a deep believer in reading books over movies, but I didn't read the books first. But yeah.
Has there ever been a series where the movies were better than the books? Can you think of one?
No, I would say, this is my theory, because I'm an avid reader, as we all know. But my theory is that the reason books are better is because it's down to your imagination. And the way you imagine a sci-fi world, it's always the best the way it's imagined in your head. So I think that's why I find movies as letdowns, because it's your own interpretation, what you built it up to be in your mind. Sometimes then when you see another director's interpretation, you're sort of let down, or the parts that they highlight versus the parts that they don't. I would say though, Harry Potter is one. I was a huge Harry Potter book reader, and I was very scared to see the Harry Potter movies because I was like, how would they do this justice? I think they did do it justice though.
I agree with you there. The weirdest part about Harry Potter was how well not weird, but how well it was cast, according to my brain, I guess. The descriptions that were given of the characters, and then when the characters came out, I was like, holy shit.
The biggest disappointment of Harry Potter is J.K. Rowling herself.
Yeah, she went the Bill Maher route. She got to that's what we were talking about at the beginning. Look at this. We're going full circle. I don't want to be J.K. Rowling. I don't want to be a progressive who stopped. It's no more progress anymore. There was that little bit. She came out. She's like, hey, just so you Dumbledore's gay.
She got a couple bills.
Oh my god, amazing, yeah. And then she's like, trans people aren't real.
Yeah, she's like, oh, by the way, I'm a trans exclusionary.
You wrote a book. You wrote a book with fucking centaurs and imaginary beasts. All this and
just stick to magic and keep your mouth shut. She ruined it for all of us.
She did.
She really did. I mean, she is probably the biggest disappointment of an author. Because it's also, what is it? The vampire books. That woman is a Mormon, and before I knew Stephanie Meyer, right? Is that her name? And I was like, I was reading those books like before there were movies, and I was like, oh yeah, whoever wrote these has to be super religious. Like, there's not even a kiss on the lips like prior to marriage.
That's right.
In the Twilight books.
That's
like,
how it should be. Okay, no kissing before marriage.
And when I heard she was Mormon, I was like, this makes more sense than anything I've ever heard in my life.
I didn't read those. Why? There's a few people saying that J.K. Rowling's comments were taken out of context. Is there any truth to that? Like, I've seen her deliberately like
she tried to walk it back a little. Yeah, she tried to walk it. I mean, she got canceled, but she has billions. She doesn't give a anymore. But no, I don't think they were like taken out of context in any way. And and anyone that's saying they are is.
Yeah, when you say
Dave Chappelle, is Dave Chappelle in here defending her? Because
when you say
he
that,
says his comments were taken out of context too.
I don't remember the broadcaster's name, but a trans woman, and I think she said it was a man cosplaying a male fantasy, or the other way. It was a trans man. It was a man.
No, you guys, she didn't
cosplaying a male
misgender
fantasy.
someone. That's not what it is. Like a TERF, she said, is a trans exclusionary radical feminist. It's a belief that the only real women are women who were like born with uteruses, essentially. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, you will not acknowledge that the trans community essentially can be women. It's a belief in this radical feminism that unless you are able, like, from which is, it's so delusional, because we all know as women, or excuse me, people with uteruses, how many people cannot give birth. Like, just even being born with a uterus doesn't mean you could give birth. It doesn't give you some sort of like divine power, as we all know. All women, like, from at some point in their life, have trouble conceiving, and that's not the definition of what makes you a woman or not. But like, that was essentially, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was some sort of argument like that.
Yeah, so I found the comment here. So this was Socialist Stanley. I don't know who that is on Twitter. They said, if India Willoughby, that was the broadcaster, is a misogynist, why did she become a woman? Think. J.K. Rowling said, India didn't become a woman. India is cosplaying a misogynistic male fantasy of what a woman is. Right? Like, that's pretty cut and dry. I feel comfortable saying that that's transphobia, and that's bigoted. I don't know that I'm taking that out of context. Whoever thought I was, maybe I said something that was out of context. If I did, I apologize, and please correct me. But I don't know.
Yeah, I agree, Cass, in the comments. And she she was very publicly like attacked about this stuff and kept saying other things. Like, it's definitely not a mistake in any way.
It's interesting how many times, like, somebody will be accused of specifically being like some sort of bigoted stance. In this, like, if somebody's transphobic, it's unbelievable how many times somebody gets accused of that, and then everybody comes to their defense. They're like, they're not transphobic, and then the next thing that person says is like, no, I'm not transphobic, but let me explain my transphobia, and then they just tell you like they're transphobia. You're like, yeah, that's what we meant. And they're like, well, that's not transphobia. Like, I think sometimes Republicans they're terrified of labels, but
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, and then like what happened, and then Dave Chappelle came out and made that Netflix special that basically defended. Well, he said he was defending her again. There was a lot. It was transphobic. And then Dave Chappelle's defense of J.K. Rowling was that Dave Chappelle himself had a transgender friend, like, and that made him not a bigot. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, what went on as a result of that.
I'll take this one. F. Mary Banish, Donald Trump, Fred Trump, Ronald Reagan. This is an easy one. I guess we're going to assume they're all alive, because I'm like,
Fred's the dad, right?
Yeah, like two of them are already gone.
Nope, it's one's on the way out. Nope, it's necrophilia.
Yeah, this is actually pretty easy. Fred Trump gets banished, but before he has Donald, so Donald doesn't exist, and so he's fucked. So there's the fucked. The banish is taken care of, and I'm gonna marry Ronald Reagan, and I'm gonna convince him to remain a Democrat and not sell his soul for trickle down economics. That's what I'm gonna do.
God, Ronald Reagan. I mean, it's like, I can't. Sometimes I want to be very angry at Ronald Reagan, but then it's like I always come back to like, oh yeah, he had Alzheimer's and he was just a puppet. That
Yeah. Also, considering I would take Ronald Reagan a million times right now over Donald Trump. Give me 10 years of Ronald Reagan over another Donald Trump term. So perspective's important. It's kind of nice for some of these historic.
He used to lead SAG. He was the union leader, the vice president of SAG. Like that man led a union. That he had Alzheimer's as president. And if I had to say what I think was going on during Ronald Reagan's presidency, excuse me, a bunch of billionaires got together, elected him as a puppet, and then all the tax laws, all the trickle down crap, all of the stuff they ever dreamed of, they forced it through, courtesy of 1980s Satan, as Nemo calls Ronald Reagan.
And also, Mrs. Reagan was doing everything. She was smarter than him. What was her name again?
What's it? Come on, Tapper.
Suzanne Reagan. What was joke. Nancy? Nancy. Yeah, it's a perfect name. Nancy was the one actually doing everything, and she was the smarter of the two. But Nancy, I'm not going to say it, but if you guys want to check out like what Nancy was most known for in Hollywood circles before Ronald Reagan became governor, just look that up. What was Nancy most known for in Hollywood circles before the governorship?
Should I Google? I don't think I know the answer. What is the answer?
Yeah, go ahead and Google it.
Well, I will. I want. What is it?
Does anybody know? Say yeah. Oh, there's somebody said it.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Thank you. You could have just said that. I mean, you could have just alluded to.
I like a little bit of drama. I like a little bit of
mystery.
Yeah. Which good for her. Good for her. I don't care about that at all. I think that great for Ronald Reagan.
Exceedingly
great for her.
Verbal.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's a fun fact. I think there's worse things you could be known for. Like being good at, no matter what, if you're good at something and you're known for that, that's a win. Chalk that up as a win.
Jay can rock a tease, no doubt. What?
That's right, Henry.
That's right. Okay, I want to go over. I wanted to go touch on just a couple articles, really quick that. I won't call them good news, but kind of. So the appeals court in Florida, because this is kind of relevant. I know we're all looking. I feel like, and someone can correct me if they don't think this is true, but I do feel like all the stuff that DeSantis has done to Florida, which, yes, there still is a supermajority there, but it's kind of becoming unraveled. Sorry, let me give you the number in the outline I'm going to be referring to. Number 3, the Politico article, appeals court slams Florida's Stop Woke law for committing greatest First Amendment sin, which this is so true. Like, this is the problem of what Ron DeSantis has done. It's all huge violations of the First Amendment. Like telling corporations they're not allowed to tell their employees to be racist is the government breaking the First Amendment.
Wait, but you have to finish it. Telling corporations,
I'll go into
telling
more
corporations that they can't tell their employees not to be racist because then the racists might get their feelings hurt.
Yes.
That's the law he tried to. We don't want racists having hurt feelings, guys. So we have to let them do their racism.
So corporations aren't allowed to give talks on not terrorizing brown and black employees because then the racists could get their feelings hurt. But so here's a 3-judge panel of the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals dealt a blow to the DeSantis administration's Stop Woke Act, which is upholding a previous ruling. So by limiting its restrictions to a list of ideas designated as offensive, the act targets speech based on its content. Oh, that doesn't even. I think we might have explained it better, but here, this is a good paragraph. So the Stop Woke Act expanded Florida's anti-discrimination laws to prohibit schools. So this is also going on in schools. This is with taking the teaching of what happened with racism out of schools, to prohibit schools and companies from leveling guilt or blame to students and employees based on race or sex. So this is the reversed racism. This is the white people of Florida saying, by you teaching the history of racism, my child might feel bad.
Yeah.
And I know likey. So, and as we all know, right, First Amendment is you can't limit the government, like Ron DeSantis or the state government of Florida cannot limit what corporations or schools say. That is the violation of the First Amendment.
I was trying to find it. Elon Musk tweeted something, and I'm trying to remember. I think it's a lawsuit coming
Guys,
in.
let's get to 200K. It's already, we have like 38 minutes left. Let's try to get to 300K. Tap, tap, tap. If you're a Republican, we have like 30 minutes left. It's a chill day. It's Super Tuesday. If you would like to come up and chat with us, we promise it'll be a good time. Everybody will leave happy.
And I'll even stay a little bit late if you guys want to come up. I wish I could find this tweet for. God damn, Elon tweets a lot. My goodness, just having to scroll all the way down.
Did you see the Charlie Kirk tweet from Elon? Sorry, I shouldn't.
No, Paul, go to that.
Yeah,
this might be related, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a screenshot of it. Let me get it up. I was just reading it a second ago, thinking I need to bring this up. Yeah. Okay. So this is Charlie Kirk tweeting this. Breaking. In the latest legal assault on Tesla from a blue state, oh my God.
This is the one. Yeah, this is the one. Yep.
Yeah. A California judge has cleared the way for 6,000 black Tesla employees to bring a class action suit against Tesla for failing to stop employees from using racist words at a factory. Are you grasping? The endless legal offensive against Musk paints a dark picture of America. Yeah, you can't have a hostile work environment where 6,000 African Americans are being harassed and called the N-word. Yes, you cannot.
When I saw this tweet, it's like, so most of the time when there's some sort of litigation regarding especially racism, when you see Charlie Kirk tweet, what you're going to be like, all right, he is going to misrepresent what this lawsuit is in order to make it an attack on white. He didn't misrepresent it. He told the fucking truth, and he's upset about it. He is upset that Tesla employees are bringing a lawsuit against Tesla for failing to stop employees from using racist words at a factory. He is saying that it is un-American that at a workplace you can sue your employer for racist words at a factory, which, by the way, like words can be harassment. That's harassment. Now Charlie Kirk is saying billionaires and their giant corporations should be exempt from harassment laws. No more harassment laws. We can't do harassment laws anymore. He's literally upset that people are allowed to sue for actual racism.
And that's 19 on the outline also, in case anyone was wondering. Yeah. Like, what's the world coming to when you can't even allow your employees to freely call coworkers and subordinates the N-word at work? Like, literally, that's... And Trump is backing this guy. Like, Trump could say, oh, I don't want this for the Republican Party. Like, if Trump really cared about African Americans. Remember when he was pretending he was speaking at the Black Conservative Federation gala, right? And saying, oh, he cares about African Americans. But meanwhile, the guy responsible and being funded to bring in voters for the Republican Party is a man disparaging Martin Luther King Jr., who's furious that Elon Musk is being sued because of racism inside his the work environment at Tesla.
And this is something that then Elon like parroted or amplified. Elon, it's not even like Elon is out here being... If you're a CEO of a giant corporation and there are accusations about your company allowing just blatant racism, you go out in front of the public, and even if you lie to them, you're going to say like, we don't stand for racism. We don't allow this on our factory floor, and we will do everything to right this wrong. But no, Elon's like, yeah, listen to Charlie Kirk. We should be allowed to say, we should be allowed to say the N-word. It's fine. It's just a workplace. Who can control that?
If you told me we'd be discussing these, like, this is another one. This is the Washington Post article. Supreme Court keeps Texas migrant law on hold, at least until March 13th. I think that we've been focusing so much on the Supreme Court and what's going on with Trump. I don't think everyone understands, like, the backlog of cases. We're going to have a very scary summer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of some very scary, like the Supreme Court has an overflowing docket that's being delayed by Donald Trump's nonsense. And we're going to have some very scary rulings coming out of a very scary conservative Supreme Court. And this is like, this law that's being put on hold, this is very reminiscent of what used to happen in Arizona under a sheriff called Joe Arpaio. I don't know if you guys remember this guy, and he would like force all the prisoners in Arizona to wear pink underwear. And basically at any point you could just pull over. He set up checkpoints, and anyone who they thought looked illegal. So if you have brown skin, you would be pulled over and they could stop and search you. Yes, Tent City.
Yeah.
I see stupid people. You know, yes.
Had some
that was Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Tent City's closed, right? Like that's not still a thing.
Yeah, it's
People
gone.
aren't still in the tents, are they?
I had a friend, one of our soccer teammates had to spend a night there. Emma wants to know, what do you call it, Felice, when Batman skips church?
Batman skips church. I don't know, but I wish I could figure some of these out.
Christian Bale.
Oh my gosh, and I love Christian Bale. That's like my favorite joke. Who does not love Christian Bale? Who do you like more? Christian Bale, I'm just saying these because these are two Irishmen. Christian Bale or Daniel, or wait, is Christian Bale Irish or is he English? Whatever.
He's Australian.
He's absolutely not.
Is he not Australian?
Absolutely not.
If I'm right, I'm going to be so happy. What do you guys say? What do the comments say?
Why wouldn't he have an Australian accent?
I thought he did.
No, he has a British accent. But anyways, he's definitely. I'm sorry that you can't hear the difference between Australia.
Well, he's from Haverfordwest, UK, which is on the border of Australia and England. That's where it's on the border.
It's what it is. It's right there.
Thank you.
Hi.
You say hi, everyone. Cute. Don't go in the camera. Just say hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Say have a good day.
So cute.
Have a good day.
There you go. Bye, baby.
Adorable.
There you go. All right. Well, I don't know why I thought Australian. That's disappointing. It's really disappointing.
Who do you like more, or who do you think is a better classically trained actor? Because these are Christian Bale or Daniel Day-Lewis. That's a hard one.
Whatever. Daniel Day-Lewis is like, I feel like I'm not...
The Butcher?
No, hold on. I feel like I'm not cultured enough or have seen enough Daniel Day-Lewis to give him the nod. Everything Christian Bale is in, I love.
Okay, but Daniel Day-Lewis is probably the only classically... probably better actor than Christian... Daniel Day-Lewis is... Did you see There Will Be Blood?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Have you seen Newsies?
Else. He's a method actor. Well, I mean, so Christian Bale and Daniel Day-Lewis were trained at one of the same acting schools. They're both method actors. They're very similar in style. That's what I was just asking. But yeah, they're Gangs of New York. Yes, that's The Butcher.
Yeah,
one of it.
I guess maybe with Daniel Day-Lewis is like his character. I think sometimes Christian Bale plays more lovable characters. And again, I haven't seen that many Daniel Day-Lewis. I'm not that cultured. But I do often, like The Fighter, that's one of my favorite movies. I think Christian Bale's in probably like 10 of my top 20 favorite movies. He's in everything I love is like a Christian Bale movie.
Yeah, I would say Daniel Day-Lewis goes off like into really challenging roles that are probably a little less entertaining almost. Yeah. Like, because like Remains of the Day, like stuff where you'll be crying for like days.
Yeah.
Did you ever see The Machinist?
I did see The Machinist. Yes, I liked The Machinist. But again, I think it's a cultured thing. I was really like, I think I'm 10 years behind everybody else on as far as like pop culture and like movies. I generally don't see movies when they first come out. And if somebody hypes a movie, I almost certainly won't watch the movie, but I'll watch it like 5 years. Like I watched Game of Thrones like 3 years ago. That's when I started.
That's like me. I never watch. I've never seen the Star Wars trilogy. I don't watch many movies. I do like. I'm very classically trained, like British, Irish actors, like that are on the West End. Like you, like I like musicals. I used to live in New York, so I've seen a lot of Broadway shows, West End shows. I lived in London for 6 months.
I love musicals. That's the most liberal thing about me. Jack wants to know again. Jack, it's so generous today. Thank you so much. You've been overly generous, and we appreciate it. If you were a superhero, what would your power be, and what would be your civilian persona?
I've thought about this. That's so hard.
Yeah, so I think about this every time I do mushrooms on pizza. Every time I have a mushroom pizza, I mean, 100% it would be time travel. It would be to be able to go back in time. Think of all the things you could. One, you'd never have to work, right? You would never ever have to work a day in your life. You could just bet on
manipulate the stock market,
or just bet on sports. Yeah, whatever you wanted to do. You manipulate the stock market, and you could do a great deal of good for people who are hurting. Like you could take down corrupt companies. You could expose people for lying. You also could go back in time. Like if you happened to have a malady that the doctor didn't catch in time, you go back in time and you fix the malady. So you're going to live a longer, happier life.
Who in God's name says malady? That's hilarious.
I played a lot of Oregon Trail when I was growing up.
1800s? That's what I was going to say. What are you, a pioneer?
If you got dysentery, you could go back and fix it.
Old West town, yeah.
You know who my ancestors are. Fuck you.
Yeah, that's true.
You know where I come from.
Wagon train. Okay,
that's what I'd be. And
Clark.
my persona would probably be me, because I'm not really capable of being someone else. I don't think I'm a very good actor.
I am. I don't know who I am. I'm just now in life figuring out who I am, Jack, is my answer. So like I can be like pretty much anyone because I didn't have a good understanding of really who I was. So I feel like I've been playing a role my whole life because I was just supposed to be like I'm a people pleaser. I was trained as a child to just whoever I was in front of, like I was supposed to make them like me. So like that's kind of, I would just become like I was a chameleon, just whoever I needed it to be, like that's who I was. But I think I would probably, I don't know why, and I know it's so like cliche, but I probably invisibility.
Yeah. One thing I appreciate about working with Felice is we do understand each other. So like when Felice says things like Jay's my best friend, it's not because we talk all the time. It's because we both recognize like the brokenness of each other, and it's kind of a safe space. Like if you saw our texts, like many of our texts are just like
it's a cry for help.
It'll just be like, hey, I'm saying this because I'm insecure and I'm a constant people pleaser, and I always worry about how this message is going to be taken. So I'm going to over communicate this text. It'd be like a 3-page text to be like, hey, maybe
you're probably wondering why I'm still typing right now.
Yeah. It's a lot of figuring each other out. But I have this is the best one so far. This is from Chris. Chris, thank you for the donation. Chris says, what do they call a mushroom with a 10-inch stem?
Jake Tapper.
A fungi to be with.
A fungi. I should have known that one.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Show us the texts. The texts are wildly embarrassing. It's literally
you guys would not be. It's not you guys like I feel like people want to like find out we're like sexting. Like it's truly emotional cries for help. Like what it. Like, and I mean that genuinely, like what it is like just learning, like we're both healing, would you say? Like we're on a healing journey, figuring out who we are in life and learning to trust people. Like if you spent your entire life not trusting anyone and also not realizing how deeply insecure you were, but then projecting it onto other people around you.
It's a weird thing to be a people pleaser, but then like also, be insecure, because we all have insecurities, right? But when you're a people pleaser, you don't ever really learn how to manifest that, and so that's most of it. It's really sad if you read, like it's comforting I think for Felice and I, but like the over communication of the most simple things just to make sure that the person on the other end knows that we don't hate them, because internally, one, we don't want to be hated, and two, we know what the other person on the other end is capable of thinking, because we've been on that other end and we're like, why didn't they talk for 30 minutes?
This is so accurate to how this is what it's like. It's like I will text Jay something and I'll be like, hey, I'm going to do this, and then I'll be like, hey, I was thinking about how you might be thinking about how I just texted you. So I just want you to know that I am not in a bad mood, nor am I mad at you. And I'm just anticipating that later you're going to question me about this. Like, this is the kind of stuff, the way we talk to each other. But it's also, this is going to sound crazy, but we definitely don't trust each other. Actually, as long as we're opening up, I'm going to say this because
here we go.
Okay, here we go. It's the reason why, like, I keep talking about, like, me being insecure. It's like, I have realized that since I started doing, like, live specifically with Jay, like, I never had gotten more, like, not, like, I talk about threats. Like, definitely there's a lot of threats or hate mail or just things like that. But also just, like, it made me sort of very insecure. Like, I had so many opinions from different places, and I'm a people pleaser. Like, the way I've kept myself safe is by making people happy. And, like, in this position, I realized I can't make everyone happy. Like, no matter what I'm doing, I'm always letting someone down. Like, so, and it was, I mean, it was making me very depressed, like, stressed out. And it's like been a process to essentially acknowledge that, and also realize, like, people not liking me or me having to recognize, like, I'm not going to be able to make everyone happy. And, like, I need to, like, value myself. Like, I get my self-esteem, or I used to when I was an unhealthy person, from other people. Like, so if other people saying, Felice, you're doing a good job, that's how I would know I was good. Not because I believed it, right? I needed constant validation. So it's just a work in progress of, like, learning to trust each other, like, growing together. Like, we're just learning how to be long-term healthy friends.
Yeah, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll keep you guys posted on that. It's a day-to-day thing.
Cinema not seeking re-election just announced.
This is big for us. I mean, should we just? Let's see. What are your?
Well, I really like Barry Markson. Barry Markson said, breaking, as I've been saying for 2 months, Kirsten Sinema announces she will not seek re-election and will retire at the end of her term this year. Sinema has $10 million in her campaign account, but had not hired staff nor worked to get the 42,000 signatures she needed to run as an independent in Arizona. Ruben Gallego will likely face off against Carrie Lake for this is massive for Democrats. This is massive for Ruben Gallego.
Let's go, Ruben.
Yeah, make no mistake that Sinema was going to take away votes that Gallego needed, and it was an uphill battle already. But this is massive for Arizona. This is massive for the Democrats. And look, whatever you think about Sinema, if she steps away from this race, and she doesn't just take a side, if she just backs out, I'm going to give Sinema credit. All right, and I think that Sinema will likely be remembered by Democrats as somebody that they despised. She'll be remembered from Republicans as somebody that was, like, palatable. But the truth is, Sinema came from a purple state that was deeply red, and she acted as such. She acted as the ultimate moderate. So, like, I don't like what she did.
She actually does pretty much represent this state.
But yeah, she did a good job representing the totality of Arizonans. And I think, like, she can be commended for that. Whatever you think about her, she did represent Arizona or at least she represented more Arizonans than maybe previous senators. She did kind of split that line. So I'm glad she's stepping down, though.
Yeah, bowing out shows, yeah, exactly. She's doing the right thing. And also I was impressed with her. Like, she was involved with Chris Murphy, the negotiations for the bipartisan border bill. She's the third person that worked on those. And yeah, just her standing up to Trump, like, all of the stuff she's done towards the end after she did betray us all several times. It's made me definitely hate her less. But now there's nothing standing in Ruben's way. That is a huge relief.
Yeah. William says, sent a donation and said, you haven't seen Star Wars. I want a divorce. So I didn't know you were married, but you are single, it appears, once again. So congratulations on your newfound singleness. Jesus, Jack, you are incredibly kind. All right. This is from Jack. Felice, you may not be able to make everyone happy, but you make many people happy.
I'm going to start crying.
And you make the world a better place. Jay and
that
Felice.
Means a lot. Thanks.
Jay and Felice, both of you are transforming the world in a real way and giving thousands a voice they wouldn't have without both of you. Thank you.
And I'm crying.
There we go. There we go. And I'm keeping it together. Amber says, everything Felice just said is so relatable. Nothing has harmed me in my life more than my need not to hurt other people's feelings. It had deadly consequences.
Amen. That's what I'm learning. Like, and also just having my own sense of self. Like, yeah, that's the lesson. And like not being able to please everyone, I think, and this is for the MAGA people who are listening. Like, I think my own insecurity like was making me very defensive and almost like angry. Like, even if I can't, like, someone like is threatening me or mean to me, or people are like, it shouldn't, I don't want that to like change who I am and how I feel about other people. Sorry. Anyways. What? Why are you looking like? Are you on mute? We can't hear you. You're making
muted.
this more
Sorry.
awkward.
Sorry,
to me.
I'm sorry. I was talking. I think what we're recognizing here, though, is that what you're feeling seems to be something that a lot of people feel, and sometimes it's easy to forget that and think that we're alone in the way that we feel, and that like insecurities are necessarily like an indictment on ourselves. Like, the one thing I have appreciated about working with Felice is that like the insecurities and the honesty, like we are allowed to be transparent. If one of us doesn't want to work that day, we talk, like that's just, it's non-negotiable. They don't work. If we feel unprepared, if we need to have a different energy, like we're allowed to have those conversations. And I think that's a difficult thing to find. I've worked with a handful of people since I've been on TikTok. All of them wonderful. All of them helped me out, and some of them went on to do other things, like it didn't work out for them. But having those types of relationships in your life, whether it's like a working relationship or, you know, your friends or your family, like those types of relationships are important. And I think that that's what Felice gives me, and maybe hopefully what I can give her is a place where like you can just be yourself. Ultimately, that's what we want. We want a place where we can be ourselves. We want a place where when we fuck up, we're not going to get, this is me speaking. I fuck up all the time.
No, and we show up. No, for
Yeah.
real. When we first started, I agree. I feel what you're saying. Like what has it been, like 3 months now? Like month one,
Years.
not to say we didn't like each other, but we just don't trust people. So like, and all I could think is like, it doesn't matter what I say, because you wouldn't believe me anyways. Like, I was like, all I kept thinking every day was like, all I can do is just keep showing up. Like, even if we fight, even if we break down, like, all I could do is just prove to him, no matter what happens, like, the next day I'm gonna be there. And like,
which is such a silly thing
come now.
Which is a silly thing for you to say, considering like every day you make the outline, every day you're more prepared, you're more educated, you have more life experience, like in every way. And then I get this message like, I'm going to do my best to prove it to you. I'm like, all right, cool. But like, you're already beating me. What are you talking about? Like, you're already doing more work than I am. So I appreciate, look, if we're being honest, your insecurity makes my life a lot easier. You know, you're overachieving due to the insecurities. It does make my life easier. So in some ways, I appreciate it.
No, like literally, that was only like in my like childhood to know where the insecurity comes from. Like, I had to be perfect. Like, if I wanted, there would be like, let's say, one drop of love. Like, I have two siblings I lived in the house with. I have an older half sister, but there was one drop of love that would be given out every day, and you had to be perfect, like at everything. So like any little mistake would feel like the end of the world to me, because I would know like no love today. So anyways, I'm working through that. But yeah, this is a work in progress. And hopefully the more transparent and honest we are about who we are, and the more we all get to know each other, the better this will all work out.
Hey, and W for the audience for making Felice feel good about herself and cry. We love seeing the emotion out of Felice. So W audience, thank you.
I'm a very emotional part. The more you guys get to, it will all make sense, I promise.
Somebody was asking again the debate. The debate is tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It'll be right here on this. What do we call it? A channel? I don't know what we call this. It'll be here. This is where it's going to be. If my computer gets here in time, I may also simulcast it to YouTube. I finally bit the bullet. The reason we haven't simulcast on YouTube and done more streaming is simply because I have a Mac.
We're Mac users. Yeah, we're both
and
so is Jen, like diehard Apple user.
And I've been waiting for TikTok to release a Mac version, and it doesn't appear like it's coming anytime soon. So finally, that's what we did. The debate will be with Mother of Dragons, or Maud. Jesse, who is, I think Boogagoon. I keep fucking that up. Jesse will be moderating. And then obviously our mods will be here just controlling the comments and making sure that we don't get bananaed. But banned. I think that was a bullshit. I think you could always say banned, by the way. I think that was like a TikTok lore that you couldn't say banned. I don't want to say bananaed anymore. It feels weird. We're gonna.
I didn't know that. I never had heard that one. But yeah, I mean, it is true that there are certain words or phrases saying them. Yeah, they pay engineers to make basically shadow ban posts or lives that say certain words. I never had heard the banned one though.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is, if for anybody who's been banned, right here a million times. The one thing that's never clear is why you got banned. So it was funny that everybody came up with these like words that got, because I've never had, not once have they ever been like, here's what you said that got you banned. It's always general. So I think those became old wives' tales, but it's kind of fun. And it's really fun when you see somebody leave TikTok and get like, sometimes we're in Discord, we'll just be on a call and somebody will be like grape or bananaed or like essay.
Or it's funny when you like when you make TikToks for TikTok or this content and then you post it elsewhere and like people on YouTube are like, why are you saying grape and why are you and unalive? It's like we have this whole language you use on TikTok that people are like, what are you talking about? I just use it in real life talking to my friends and they're like, what does that mean? And I'm like,
that's the worst when it comes out with like non-TikTok friends or people that you know. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Grape. You know what I'm talking about. Corn. I'm talking about corn.
I'm talking about corn.
What kind of corn do you watch?
It'll be here on this channel. For whoever just asked that, I think it was MAGA equals shit. It'll be here on this channel. For those of you tuning in to watch Jen mute mod, that will not be happening. What we are going to agree to is just some ground rules, and Jesse ultimately will be in control. I'm not even going to be critical of mod here because I overtalk too. So I think that we are both debaters. No. We both debate in a similar way. And so look, there's going to be some overtalking, and Mod and I are just going to have to agree that we will try our best not to be the obnoxious humans that we sometimes are. So Jen will not have access. Jen will always have access to the mute button, but she's not going to use it. We're going to rely on Jesse to kind of keep things moving.
When is your computer supposed to come?
Well, it said when I bought it, it said Thursday, but then I got notice that it had arrived in Arizona, so it may get here today or may get here tomorrow morning.
Because Thursday's the State of the Union.
Yeah,
unless the Republicans in the House cancel it.
That's true. We will simulcast as long as I can figure out how to do it. We will try and simulcast the State of the Union here and YouTube. So. Anyways, I show up for this debate. Whether you like Mod or not, I recognize that if you go to Mod's channel, if you've sat through those debates, I fully understand why people might be frustrated. I find it a difficult place sometimes to debate just because of the numbers are against us generally. But like, I do think it's important to have long form debate. I plan on, after this debate, calling out other people. I plan on challenging people to debates. I plan on going on the offensive for the rest of this year. It's something Felice and I have discussed. Like, we think these debates
it's healthy for Jay. Our friendship is better when Jay screams at other people.
Yeah, it works, and ultimately, like, it makes me a better person. It makes me more informed. It brings out my competitiveness, so I'll study, which is great. But do your best. Let's do our best on our side, at least during the debate, to be respectful, to understand that give Mod credit. That not a lot of people on this app would be willing to go do a one-on-one debate with anybody. It's not about me, but like, give Mod some credit. She has the courage to stand on her words, and I'll give her even more credit. Like, imagine having to defend Donald Trump. That takes courage.
Well, imagine being that's what I will say. Like, I think it's hard for me to even want to debate women on the right, because I think it's like such a battle they have just existing over there. And even if they don't realize it sometimes, like the amount of misogyny that, like just being discounted before you even speak, like, is exhausting for them. So yeah, like, I definitely give women, like, representing the right. Exactly. And like, Mother of Dragons is going to show up for a one-on-one debate. Like, where are all the Republican men on this app? Like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, 100%. Am I surprised that it's a woman who's going to debate? No, I'm not. I'm not. And that is like a definite respect for that. Make sure to screen record.
Yeah, well, look, we'll post the replay on YouTube. From Whisper, hoodie sell. Just a reminder that this hoodie comes from Crow and Arrow Apparel. It's a very comfortable hoodie. I have worn and washed this multiple times. It holds up well. The logo specifically, like this, I don't really I don't take great care of my clothes, but there's no cracking or anything in the logo. The logo's holding up. It's a very comfortable hoodie. So if you do want hoodies, that's go to Whisper. Whisper, if you're here, just put your name in the content, or Crow and Arrow Apparel. Just comment there, and you guys can follow. Whisper.
It's 9 p.m. Eastern. I know we keep going over the time, but someone said 8 p.m. Eastern. It would be 9 p.m. Eastern, right?
6 Pacific, yeah.
6 Pacific, so 9 p.m. Eastern.
There you go. There's Crow and Arrow. But Crow and Arrow says, can you describe the texture of the rug for us? Was it shaggy carpet or that awful office stuff? The carpet was a dark, I think black. It was either black or like dark purple. I'm trying to remember. There was a lot of purple in the house, but I think it was dark black. And it was that long, very comfortable shag carpet. So that's the texture. And the texture, I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I was just focused on like trying to make it last a little bit longer. So I don't really in my head remember the texture of the carpet. That was not my focus. And look, it didn't last long enough for me to really get a good feel of it. So there you go.
We should tell everyone about. This isn't something to really be proud of. Do you remember the Lauren Boebert thing I was texting you about last night?
Yeah, I had seen this.
I didn't know about that. Like it's just about what's his name's Tyler, right? Tyler Boebert.
Yeah, so my stepson Tyler is in a little bit of trouble. He got caught.
He's on a crime spree.
He got caught taking people's credit and debit cards and running up charges on them.
Breaking into cars.
When he was caught, they obviously confiscated all his stuff. One of the things they confiscated was his phone, and on that phone included a sex tape that he had sent to a lot of people.
Distributed,
mm-hmm. And it had included a girl who's a minor. However, there is, just to be honest, we don't know how old he was when he made this video. So nobody yet is accusing him of specific crimes,
the girl's a minor, and and also it's in an affidavit. Like, it wasn't just they found it in his phone. Like, the people they did these crimes with, there's 4 of them. It's 2 girls and 2 boys, and they're all like friends, or whatever you want to call it. But apparently, like in one of these kids' affidavits, they're describing that this act happened, was filmed, and then distributed.
And what's crazy, like the end of the video, obviously the way the video ended was them being thrown out of the musical that they were attending. That's how the video ended. I just have to say, like, the apple doesn't fall far from the sex predator in that family. We'll just say that. Like,
I believe, as the saying goes.
One of the things Lauren Boebert said, she made a statement, and I thought it was I actually thought her statement was good as a parent. She said, "My son made mistakes. He's been put through a lot that he didn't ask for." That's true. I think, like, to be sensitive about that. These kids don't ask for any of this. They didn't ask for their parents to be like garbage people. Their parents just are garbage people. It's interesting to hear Lauren Boebert like say that and not recognize that she brought this all on herself. But she said that he should get no special treatment, and that she will continue to love him. And I thought it was a good statement, if we're being honest. But I hope Lauren Boebert recognizes the damage that she's doing to her children. And this will be lifelong damage. When you put yourself in the public spot,
she shouldn't be saying this is my fault. Yeah, like
when you put yourself in the public spotlight, it's important to know that everything you do will affect your family. And so you knew that signing. Well, maybe you knew that signing up, but you should have known that's what you signed up for, and you have to be careful. So maybe some reflection by Bobo would be nice.
And then the other thing I want to say about Lauren Boebert is just, I don't know if you guys saw, and I don't know how this happened, but there's an article in the Washington Post called "Lauren Boebert Doesn't Want to Lose the House. A messy divorce and flagging popularity upended her personal life and threatened her political future. Can the MAGA mean girls start over without changing?" And it's written by a man named Ben Terrace. I don't know, like, just as someone with a background in marketing and PR, like, this would be I almost believe she paid someone for this. Like, Ron Filipkowski was like, how could such a favorable fluff piece be written at such a time when she needed it so much? Like, and the Washington Post, I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah, that was, man. Good. I thought something similar. Like, I was like, somebody owed her a favor when I read that. But as per usual, Ron Filipkowski puts it in the best words. Let me check donations, and then we're done for today. Thank you. By the way,
it's
guys,
Super Tuesday.
Incredibly generous today with the gifts, with the comments. I think people really like it, Felice, when you scrape a little ice off that heart and show people a little glimpse of it. I think people like that. Sue said, "You two individually have a lot to offer, but together you are a very powerful political voice. I'm not surprised people won't come in and debate you. Keep it up. We appreciate you." Thank you, Sue. That's very, very kind. I do agree we're better together than separately.
Did I not say that at first?
Yeah.
I have said that. We are better together. That's true.
Tears Tuesday said that.
What'd you say? Tears Tuesday. I know.
That's right.
Cry.
Maybe we start that. Maybe our Tuesday show, we just like get our feelings out. Monday, we've got to buckle down, get back into it. Maybe Tuesday is our tear day.
We'll cry.
We might want to switch it to Thursday, because that's definitely our worst day every time. That's the day that Felice is like, I don't know if I can keep doing this every week.
Yeah, once a week. That's a true story. Thank you guys so much. You guys just don't know how much you guys mean to us. Thank you for the support. And just watching, this is going to be, I feel like it's not just Jay and I, but like us building something together is why this is so valuable to me. Like, I have had jobs, right? And I've like been paid to do things, but I've never felt like I'm growing and building something like with people that I care about. So like I can't remember. I think it was Nemo and Jake's live. I was like flipping through, and there was like a debate going on Saturday about whether or not like it was like people should be making money doing this, and like from TikTok, like talking about politics. And I just thought that was so crazy, because never in my life have I felt like valued, like I was doing something that made a difference in capitalism in any real way until this experience right now. So I just appreciate you all more than you will ever know.
Yeah, and just I think there's one person who's regularly keeping everything together, who doesn't show up on camera and discuss their feelings. But also a shout out to not only our mod team, but Jen, Jen puts in a lot of work. She is part of our business going forward, and it is not a business that is doing great things financially. So Jen sacrificed, and Jen has to clean up my messes all the time. I think it's pretty easy with Felice. There's not much to do there, but Jen is a full-time babysitter to a grown-ass man who requires a full-time babysitter. So W, Jen, and then to the rest of our...
That's the truest thing you've said.
Yeah, to the rest of our mods, to Kim, to Mo, to Travel Casey, to Yolanda... these are our Discord mods. I'm trying to think who else am I missing. Prague. Hull's not there anymore. Who am I missing? I know I'm missing. Who am I missing? Someone help me. Who else am I missing here? I feel like I'm missing one. Am I missing one?
Did you say Yolanda?
I did say Yolanda. Yeah.
Mo. Prague. Fear the Rug.
Sorry if I'm missing one. I feel like I'm missing one. Look, yeah, Fee's no longer a mod, but shout out Fee. Fee, Discord wouldn't exist if Fee wasn't around. I would have never had structure if Fee wasn't around. I wouldn't have even thought to do this if Fee wasn't around. I love Fee to death. She's probably here. She doesn't work with us any longer, but her and I are still good friends. So shout out Fee as well. But I think I got it. IB, that's who. Fucking IB. God damn.
Wasn't he like the first person that worked with you too? Did you say that at the last?
It's so bad, and I was
meeting?
just talking to him. Yeah, thank you so much, Kim, on that. IB, the most. IB kind of comes and goes. He runs his own business, but somebody who has been a friend to me from the very first time we ever interacted. Somebody that whenever I need honest feedback, that's the person I go to. I trust him with a lot of things. IB doesn't say a lot. He's not live a lot. He's a phenomenal person though. So IB as well. But thank you, and then to all you guys, thank you for your generosity, for your support. It means the world to us. We will see you guys tomorrow morning and every morning, 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time. And then tomorrow night, of course, for the mod debate at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That will be here on this channel. We'll see you guys in the morning.
We'll have so much good information. Have a great Super Tuesday.
Thank you.